Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Shooting the Shelf here on the Just Shelve It channel. I am Jesse Arnold, and whiz me,
Yeah, was you?
why's your whiz you? This guy, my co-host,
Hi,
Curtis
everybody.
Ackerman.
Curtis Ackerman here with Jesse. We're just whizzing, having a good time, skipping the Super Bowl because foosball is the devil.
Exactly. I was watching it, but that was just an excuse to hang out with some friends and eat food and hang out with their dogs. Um, So tonight we have I say this I think I say everybody's this very special guest, and they are a very special guest, but we have a very special guest because they are coming to us all the way from the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, the United Kingdom, the one and only Elijah Baker, aka Captain Firebeard Baker.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. It's amazing to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Yep. We know it's late or early, depending on what you want to call it, where you are. So appreciate you making time to be here with us.
It's so good, man. I know I was saying earlier that I was a bit of a vampire at the moment, so I'm awake.
Are we interrupting something? What's going on back there? Are you in the middle of a get together?
A bit of a
Looks like
battle.
it looks like you got a battle there. Yeah.
Do you know? I'll be honest. I'm not used to doing these like that with Zooms and all this the streaming videos. So I literally realized that you can have a virtual background, and I got really excited. So I thought let me just experiment. That way I don't have to tidy up behind me. It doesn't look as clear as you guys' background. So
it looks good. It looks good.
Thanks, man.
Alex, we got some of your pals showing up here.
Hey, yeah, that's my guy there, right there. Yeah, man, good dude. My boy Kwame as well. Yeah, some of the guys. Kai as well. Yeah, I actually turned up.
So imagine are they from over in the UK? We got Dave's here, Jay.
Yeah. Hey guys, thanks. Yeah, some of the guys are from the UK, and then some will be from all over the world, because Instagram and all that jazz.
Wow, Anthony popped in. His team's in the Super Bowl, and he still popped in to see us.
Man, that's
Anthony, if you stick around long enough for this sentence, we are going to be debuting a new part coming, or a couple new parts coming from the Toy Forge later in the show. So stick around for that. Yeah,
that'll be fun.
All right, so Elijah, we've started doing here in season 2 a thing we're calling shelf selections, where we just Curtis and I go through and pick a couple images we see either in Facebook or Instagram or something that just kind of catch our eye. Usually it's Mythic Legion or customizing, but sometimes it's just other stuff. So we'll add these in here.
Sweet.
Shelf selections, if it loads. There we go. And we'll get started, I think, with one of Curtis's picks.
Yep. This is Darth Zaddy. And this actually had some music with it when I was looking at it on Instagram. And I just thought this was a cool shot. Just, Arethyr is already pretty badass by himself, but just with that background and the flames in front, and then it had some really, kick-ass music with it. So I just thought this was a really cool look. And I had to select this one for this week.
Excellent.
Awesome. Yeah.
Now, Elijah, you do some photography and stuff too, and I think a lot of yours have been like with exterior shots, right?
Yeah. I mean, for me and one of my buddies, Faisal. I have to show you guys Faisal's page at some point on Instagram. I feel great because I actually got him into action figure photography too. So it's like we got another one, and we go hiking a lot of the time, and we'll do outdoor photography.
Nice.
Find like locations, like just where we can make it look like it's the scale, so you don't see like a Pepsi can or a trainer in the background.
Right.
So yeah, but I'm loving this, man, because this is a perfect background that I feel that complements the figure quite nicely as well. So I'm digging this.
Yeah, it's cool. It makes me, to me, it just feels like it's maybe where Arethyr and his people were like in prison during their exile before they got brought back into Mythos, or something like that.
Yeah, I kind of envision this as like his rising, like coming back from that, So yeah. But it's just a cool shot for sure.
It's awesome.
This is one I picked from Numbskull Shots. I love Captain Carter, and just seeing the Hot Toys figure in full action here was just really cool to see. So I had to grab that one.
Mm.
That's cool. Is that so? The two in the front are both figures, and then this is the back just a backdrop or something, or is that some sort of?
I think that's what Nate was talking about last week. The Digirama or
Oh,
whatever.
gotcha.
I imagine. I don't know. I didn't see it behind the scenes on this one, but
because the armored, that's that like Captain America suit, right? Or it's like I forget what they called that.
Hydra Stomper.
Hydra Stomper. And that was in the What If series, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just the way they got the light, like the yellow firelight reflecting on his like jetpack or whatever there. Just that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
the way because his eyes on that toy, his eyes don't light up, right?
No, I think they do.
Oh, do they?
I think so.
I didn't know that. I thought that was an effect that they did for the photo.
They might have enhanced it in the photo, but I'm pretty sure I saw in the pictures that the eyes light up on him.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, that's nifty. I like that. It's clean.
Yeah,
It's clean shot as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah. And I like that. I know they do a lot of like real hair on don't they on the Hot Toys?
Oh, wow.
Not real hair, but like synthetic hair.
I don't know.
But I like she's got like
I think
the plastic,
so,
the plastic. Yeah.
Oh, it's like just like that kind of material to make it feel like it's
authentic.
Oh, okay.
This one I selected. This is from Walter DeMarco, and it's not painted or anything, but I just thought the artistry of the sculpt was really cool. It's very steampunk vibe, and I was kind of surprised to see this at first because it was like I'm looking at it and it's like it doesn't really ring me as mythic and it doesn't really ring me as cosmic, but it's also really just cool. Like so I looked at this and it looks like that's going to be available at Legion Shop soon. And yeah, I'm not sure how. I mean, I guess depending on how people paint it up, it may work for either. But I just thought that was really neat the way that he put all that together. And my wife's definitely into steampunk; she likes that stuff, so I think she would dig that as well.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, you go, Elijah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm thinking Cosmic Legions as well. Because of just in terms of the way the character has this kind of design. I mean, it feels like like you said, steampunk, perfect. Because steampunk, I know, is a combination of like the past. You can have like Napoleonic type weapons and outfits with laser guns and stuff. So this fits into a lot of genres. So I like this. It's cool.
Yeah. I just see this guy. I don't know. I just see like a whole fleet of these guys being like miners down in the tunnels, and like their pauldrons, like that's some sort of rotating, digging gear or something. And
that's a good story because isn't like part of the cosmic that they've got some sort of something that they're mining or a drug or something, isn't it? Like what was the?
I'm not sure.
It was with Zirian. I think it's part of her bio that it's like. Shoot, I'll have to look that up. I thought it was some sort of something that they've mined. So if so, this could be somebody that's mining for that. So
yeah, cool, man.
Bill coming in with the tube stash.
Tube stash.
This one is from I believe he's out in the chat himself, Masterversal Toy Hunter. He took one of these Origins. I don't know if it was a Battle Cat or a Panther, and turned it into Duplicat. I didn't grab all the pictures of it because he had so many awesome shots, but I just love how he like cut into this and put all these gears, because this was just a solid cat body. So just the work he did on this and the color work. I'm not a hugely knowledgeable about this character, but I really like this one.
Yeah, I used to spend a lot of time in the Motu community. And I think the first one of these that I saw was from Joe Amato, had done one like this years ago. And then obviously Mattel just did one, but I've seen several people do it. And I think each one is awesome because, what usually happens is, and happens in this one, is the artist kind of puts some different unique take on where some of those robotic parts would show versus other artists. So I think the way that he's got it here, where, you kind of see the flesh being torn on the side and you can see some of those robot parts coming out. And then the one foot is like completely robotic. I just think that's really cool. I think I saw one where somebody had actually taken like the camera from an iPhone and used it as like an eye on the
Oh, wow.
the cat. So yeah, I love seeing that. I've seen quite a few of these, but this is really one of the top ones I've seen, and I love, you know, what he did with all that for sure.
Yeah, this is, for me, this has got a bit of a Beast Wars vibe to it. You know, or Terminator even. You know, when you see the skin, and
Yeah,
the mechanics beneath it, and you're just like, yeah, this is like this is just the outer layer of skin. It's, you know, this is what's working behind this beast. You know, so
yeah.
Yeah, and I really love the detail. Man, I'm doing it again with the mouse. The scratch marks on top of the saddle where they're like scratching down into where the flesh is torn away. I just think that's
well,
really
and
sweet.
he did a good job of creating depth on the side there, because it doesn't look like the mechanical parts are just something that he added to the outside of the cat. It does look like it's on the inside, and like the flesh is torn over top of it. So yeah, just really cool vibe there.
Yeah, man, it's okay.
So this one I took from a video that our friend Billy Beige did. And it was taking some soft goods from the Conan figure, the Mezco Conan, and putting them on Mythic Legions. And I was surprised to see how well it worked. Like, I think that the fur loin piece with that belt and then that shirt there, I thought that created a really cool look. And maybe you wouldn't necessarily use it. I mean, you may use it for a Magnus figure. I think this is like a gladiator with a Magnus head. But I think you could definitely use that with somebody, depending on where you wanted to put those parts. There was another part of the video where I guess Conan's got a couple different cloaks. I didn't think that they worked as well. One was kind of thick. The other one didn't have a wire in it. And it didn't seem like it worked as well. But this whole combo here with the loin piece, the belt, and the shirt, I thought worked really well. So I thought that was cool of him to, you know, just kind of put that together on a Mythic and show what that looks like.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, man. The thing is, I mean, for me, I'm obsessed with customizing goblins, as I know you guys might have seen. So I'm just looking at this and I'm looking at the weapons, because I'll as you guys probably seen before, I'll buy like a whole figure just for the weapon. So I'm looking at the necklace, and that works really well. I'm just automatically I go to the weapons and I think, oh, that would look good with a goblin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that was it, the flail I've heard is wired, so you can kind of bend it and make it look like it's like in an action of somebody swinging it. So that's really cool.
Oh, yeah, that looks awesome, man. That works. That really works.
Very cool. Yeah, Billy's just going to town with these reviews. He's just he's jumped in it. He's going head first. So nice work, Billy.
Yeah, and I had talked to him, and I've talked to Dorklayer recently just about how much work actually goes into not only filming these things, but then editing them, doing the voiceovers. Like, there's a lot of work involved with this stuff. So I appreciate all those folks out there like Dorklayer, like Billy, that are putting this content out there for people. Because like somebody like myself, I've never gotten into the whole Mezco community, and I wouldn't have realized that how much comes with that Conan for the price that they were charging. I mean, it just, you're definitely getting your money's worth with the different heads and weapons and soft goods. Like, you know, whether you like the Conan or not, just in terms of what all you get with it, you can't deny it's a huge value. So
absolutely. And I think I'm repeating a post or a artist from last week, I think. But it doesn't matter. I saw this and I had to throw this one up. I mean, half goblin, half demon, all awesome. I just absolutely love this one.
Yeah, it's cool. I like those smaller wings. I wish they would do like a wings pack that had like a couple sets of those in it. Because I think those are really cool for some vampires, goblins, anything like that. You don't necessarily, sometimes you want wings, but you don't want those big, huge demon wings. And I think these come in really handy, but I love the overall look, the paint match from the wings to the torso and face. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, this character looks like the stuff of nightmares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I love the compact. I know what you mean, the compact wings as well. That way you can sort of fit more into it. I'm thinking about images as well. You can fit more into an image rather than stretch it out a bit further. But yeah, I love the helmet and the color scheme looks wicked. And this character looks like it's ready to take on multiple foes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm digging this.
Yeah, this one is mine.
lost the name.
This was Giovanni Bly, and he did this one for Walter. So this was kind of a tribute to Walter, was my understanding. And this is on a half giant. And a couple things with this. I love the first picture, the overall look with the fur and the belt, the head sculpt. I don't know where that head sculpt is, but it comes from, but it was awesome. The paint job he did on it was great. I love the huge sword in the back. And then when you see the second shot and you get that side shot with the arm, and he's got this huge tattoo on his bicep. And I read in one of the comments, he said that's just kind of like the old school like tattoos that you'd put on with water, the temporary tattoos.
Oh.
And he, because somebody asked if it was like a slide decal. He said no, it's just like an old school tattoo with water, and you just had to be real careful with it, and applied it on there, and it looks fantastic. Like it looks like a real tattoo on that arm. So I loved that overall look and everything that he did with this. I thought it came out awesome.
Yeah, it looks like he's just slayed a wolf, and he's
yep.
around. He's in the tattoo game is on point as well. I thought that was literally designed with that just painting, but the deco, I can understand that. That looks amazing, man. And that it's like a Viking head. So I love the Viking culture and the look of the Viking. So yeah, for me, this guy looks wicked. Yeah, he's dope.
Yeah, that fur piece just takes it right into that. Like at first glance, when I saw this, I thought this was a cosplay. It took me a second to realize it was a figure. I mean, I was looking on my phone, so that not trying to put it down. That was not what I meant.
Yeah. No, that's wicked. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Another part on this too is that the loin piece there. I don't know where he got that from. I don't know if he made that or if he got that from a different figure, but that's cool looking. Like,
yeah. I know you're not a big fan of the soft goods, but it looks like there's some sort of purple fabric underneath.
I see that. And you know what? I'm kind of warming up to some of the soft goods. I gotta say, warming up a little bit. But yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah.
I think we got one more from Mr. Dennis Derby himself, City of Gray Harbor on Instagram. He had quite a few, but this of the heads he posted this week, this one just really jumped out at me. I just like that more, like that tighter braid on the dwarf beard, and just this kind of guy kind of reminds me of is it J.K. Simmons who plays J. Jonah Jameson in the Tobey Spider-Man movies. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It is like if he was an angry dwarf in a fantasy movie, like that's just the face I see here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he looks like he's seen many winters. He looks like he's seen many winters, and he's had
exactly
had a hard time, and he's got experience, and he's a tough guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that he kind of has because Dennis does a real good job with all of his paints, but this one's kind of got more of like a ghostly complexion. Like he's definitely seen a lot, and he's a weathered older character that's been around for sure. And I kind of like that look that he created there. It's not just your standard dwarf skin tone on there. So I thought that was cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When you think about it, dwarves, if they're spending most of their time like in caves under the mountains, they're probably not getting all sunlight. So
yeah, that's probably right.
That's true. Yeah, the skin's not really getting. You're not gonna have a tan, are you? Really?
No.
Yeah. And it's fancy. It's dwarves. Maybe they don't need it.
Yeah.
And
true.
that's it. That's it for our shelf selections for the week.
Okay.
See a couple more people jumped in chat too, we're up to 19 folks now watching. So
all right,
good stuff.
We got
see Oz out there and Deverb Music.
Deverb. My guy. Yeah. Wicked.
Laura? Is that Laura? Am I going blank?
There's so many Lauras in there. I know a few Lauras myself. So
I don't know Laura's last name. I just know I see her a lot in the Legion's Lounge
Okay.
and on the Dork Lair shows and stuff like that. So,
well, welcome everybody.
yep.
Let's see. All right. So Elijah,
So,
or do you prefer Captain?
dude, I mean, Jesse, you can call me Susan if you make you happy.
No. All right, Susan.
Yes.
No. So I remember back in the fall, I can't remember if I saw a picture of yours or if I got tagged in a picture. I don't remember how it happened, but then like you just came in hot and hard on the Legion's love, and that enthusiasm was just really infectious, and that was just really cool to see what got you into overall. But since Chris and I are huge Mythic Legions fan, like what got you into Legions?
You know what? I mean, for a long time, I was into like Gears of War figures. Were my main. That was my stuff. They were my guys, and they still are. And I was building an army of like cog soldiers. I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with Gears of War, if you're really into it or anything like that.
I have no experience, so explain as you would a child.
All right. I mean, I'll just talk. I talk to children. I don't do the Gaga stuff. Go straight to it. Yeah. So Gears of War, started out as a video game, and then they started to expand into comics, and they got a series of figures first created by NECA. And then Storm Collectibles got involved, and just over the years, different companies have picked up the line. And yeah, Gears of War was my main. That was the main figures I used to really be into. Prior to that, in terms of coming on Instagram and posting and getting involved in the communities online, I was mainly Lego. Lego's what I came back with. There's my guy, Gears Speak, Gears of War family there. And Lego's what I started with in terms of Instagram, and that was during COVID. Like the height of COVID, and there was a lot of us were just in our houses, and we were just, having to hibernate. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So I started to do all these Lego posts. So if you was to go on Instagram on my Captain 5-Year Baker page and scroll all the way down, you'll see nothing but Lego posts. You know what I mean? Like just like Lego pirates specifically. And
Yeah.
Exactly. I've got like hundreds of pirates. I was customizing them, and and. For me, yeah. So, but years before that, it was Gears of War. But we're going to get into Mythic Legions. We'll go there in a sec. So, my rekindling of getting back into like figures, I still kept some, but in terms of posting and interacting with communities. So yeah, it was the Lego, and then my buddy LJ, who's in the comments, he actually, ironically, was inspired by me to start making Gears of War figures years ago from a YouTube channel I've got called Nem Hill. And this was I can't get into it, by the way, because when all the passwords and everything changed, it's a lost channel now,
Right.
So but that was something I did for like 10 years. So like, if you ever feel like it, tap in them here onto YouTube, you see like this guy with a high pitched voice who's me, and higher pitched, and it was just me doing all these Gears of War figure reviews and all that sort of stuff. And when I come back onto Instagram, partially inspired by my friend LJ, was doing the Lego, doing the Gears of War. And then here we go to the Mythic Legions, the question you asked. So with a guy called JR Nightmare, or JR Nightmare. I don't know if you've seen him, a guy called Junior Williams. He's an awesome guy. I knew him from the Marvel Legends collecting days. He had these images of these goblins. And these times I don't know the names. I know all the names perfectly now. But at the time, I just thought, oh, these look cool. These look interesting. It's not Gears of War, but they look pretty cool. Yeah. And then slowly but surely I started to like warm to it. I was like, yeah, these look really, really cool. And then all of a sudden, I can't tell you guys exactly the night. It's probably, I'd like to paint the picture of like a movie or something, but it just dawned on me. I was like, why don't I have these? Like, why don't I have these in my collection? Like, what am I doing with my life? So I literally, I said to myself, right, and this before I was in the Cabal. I didn't know there was such a thing. I didn't know about these groups. I didn't understand how the community was. I knew nothing about it really. I just knew that I've got a buddy called JR Nightmare. He has these amazing looking goblins. So I went onto eBay, because obviously that's the only place I could think of to get them. You can't walk into Toys R Us, you know what I mean, and pick up some Mythic Legions. It'd be amazing, right? But how fresh was I? I was very green at the time. So literally, I went onto eBay and I just found the first ones I saw that I liked the look of were this job lot of orcs.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw like four orc builders with a Queen Urxa. And like, right, so that was like, I was like, okay, so this is, you know, and it was like 400 and something pounds, you know what I mean? And then so for me at the time, like, I don't think I even had any money at the time. I think I like borrowed money just so I could buy them, like, you know. Like I was due to get paid in like 2 weeks, so I was like, I just do it, man. So I just bought these guys, and then yeah, they arrived. And this was in September. This is like September times, like September gone basically. So it's not
Oh,
even long.
okay. So just a couple months ago.
Oh man, I'm super green, man. I'm yeah, like literally, you know, the goblins and the orcs. But yeah, so I bought them, and then when I got them and I had them in hand, like you guys were always saying, when you get them in hand, it's like a whole different experience. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, you know, when He-Man has the sword and he's like, he feels like he has the power. You know, he does have the power. You know, so I had these figures in hand, and I was like, oh my god, like the articulation, you know what I mean, the details and all the customizing that you can do with them, and it's something I'd always done. Like with my Gears of War figures, I was always creating new soldiers that might exist in that world. I was always like with Lego, I was like a fiend, you know, like I would see like a head that I didn't have that would be compatible with like a pirate, and I would like I'd buy that set, that maybe that Western set or that space set just to get the head, so I could have another pirate, you know. So and then I was like, yeah, so I've arrived basically. So yeah, Mythic Legions, they look amazing. And I was like, I need to get involved. And then, yeah, September, and then here we are.
So did you know before they came in that they were modular enough that you could like customize them and mix them together? Or was that a surprise when they came?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know too much, to be honest. I just like knew that they looked amazing. And I had to get involved. And of course, finding out that you could take pictures. I was kind of planning to do that anyway. Like, I was thinking, you know, whether that works or not, I'm gonna get involved, and I'm gonna mix these guys up a little bit, you know. So yeah, that was kind of the idea. But then of course now the discovering was amazing, you know, like because when I realized about the community and how everything worked and how it was so interactive, and it's like it's the best toy community I've ever been a part of. You know, like I know we'll get into that in a sec. But yeah, and then just learning more about it. But yeah, I didn't know at first, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because in a lot of the folks that I've talked to that do customize, they didn't know the ability to customize these or how easy they are to customize before they got into line. I don't hear too many people say, hey, I heard how easily customizable these were, so I got into the line. It usually starts with, I saw a cool toy and I wanted to have it, you know? So I think that's cool. Like at its essence, like these are cool right off the bat. But then the fact that you can, when you get them in hand, you can take them apart and do all these other things. And then you find the community of all these other creative folks, like it just takes it to another level, you know? It's one of those things where it's like in a lot of toy lines, the excitement stops when you open the figure. Like you open the figure, you get it out, and the excitement's over. Now you put it on a shelf and you're done. With Mythic Legions, it's like when you open it, that's just the beginning of the journey. Like now it's like, what are you going to do with this figure? You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, like endless possibilities, you know. And it's like the figures that keep on giving, you know, because there's so much. I mean, even I was talking to Mark the other day, and he was talking about he needs to like get new Legion builders because he's got these ideas. He's got like he's running out of bodies, you know what I mean? Because he's got these head sculpts that he needs to create these characters, you know, like he needs to have them realize they need bodies basically. So it's amazing. And the fact that the Four Horsemen are so cool with people like just literally like creating all these third-party companies and whatnot as well is I know you guys always talk about that, and it's amazing that they're so cool with it. And it benefits them as well, to be honest, because you always need to buy more figures, you know, the parts.
Yeah, so just like you said, you know, you got to have bodies to put these things on. So for sure,
absolutely.
So you get in, you get your first orcs in, you get them in hand, you think they're awesome. How does that then get you into the Cabal, and when do you start realizing that you're not the only one that wants to modify these things and change up the look on them?
Yeah, do you know what? I'm doing my best to remember. It was actually Walter that actually told me about the Cabal. Like, so it's kind of ironic that the man who set it up, he told me about it. So because people are just so easy to talk to in this community, as I know, like you guys know. And so yeah, as soon as I get in, I remember filling in the questions because you got to answer a few questions. You know, I'll just let anyone in there.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, you got answer, and I thought, oh, I'm not even going to get in. I've only got like 5. You know? And I thought maybe it's going to be like, no, you need at least 15. You need, you know,
Come back in a few months.
yeah, it's like even me on the show. I'm like, I thought it was kind of early, like, you know, kind of like sort of, yeah, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, no, I mean, once I got in and I'm seeing what everyone's doing, it's just really speaking to me because I love creating characters anyway, you know, and I have to create characters. I've always done it. So when I see that so many people have a passion for it, because I was probably going to do that anyway, but when I see so many people doing it, it's so encouraging, and it will always keep you like overly interested because there's always something new, you know what I mean? And this for you guys, you know, amazing customizers, to name just 2 of so many people that are doing amazing creations, you know. And then and it's wonderful because, you know, that feeling, guys, I know you guys know the feeling where you see like a belt on a random figure in a market somewhere, you know what I mean? Or you're just scouring eBay late at night. I mean, me anyway, like late at night, like you see like a piece of, you see like a shoe, or you see like a weapon, and then it just gives you ideas about how you can conjure something new up, you know. So yeah, and so I saw people doing that. I went on to, is it Flickr? There's a website called Flickr where there is a significant amount of Legion's images on there from people's customs, and yeah, and then it's just yeah, it's a rabbit hole, guys, as you know. Once you see it, keep keep discovering more.
Awesome.
Yeah. So you said that you really like the goblins. I'm guessing that you're in the Malignancy Goblin group.
Oh yeah, man. I need to get a t-shirt. I've got an Orc t-shirt on right now. This is from a shop called the Orc's Nest, which is in London, and yeah, it's like a game shop. But yeah, we repping the goblins and the orcs, you know.
So what is it about the goblins that really does it for you?
Do you know what? It's because you know, those orcs that I bought, like I'm just so on the goblins now, you know. Like it's, for me, I think it's just the quirkiness of them, that they're always up to shenanigans, and they've just got, for me, they're the most characterful characters, like in Mythic Legions. Obviously, yeah, you know, I mean, we're a bit biased, but you know, you know, and for me, there's possibilities that are pretty unlimited for all types of characters in Mythic Legions, but with the goblins, there's no rules. You know what I mean? There's no rules with the goblins, and maybe that kind of relates to, like, you can see the kind of connection with me and my pirates. Like, I love the Lego pirates, because with pirates there's like pretty much no rules in terms of how they dress, and you know what I mean. So with the goblins, you can do what you want, and they already show us, like with Snag, for example. You know, he's got pieces. He's clearly got pieces with him that he didn't. You know, he wasn't gifted them.
Right.
So they're thieves anyway. You know, they're gonna pick up things here and there. They're gonna you know, decapitate someone and maybe wear their shoes. You know what I mean? So there's no rules basically, and the options are even more like unlimited for me. That's why I love them.
Yeah, I think you're right about the character, and like they can be a little bit out there and crazy, and you can mix some 1.0 and 2.0 parts, and you don't see that with a lot of other races where they're mixing parts as much as they do with like the goblins. And then, you know, I know like Emil and Steven did the God's Fire, where they did the mud thumbs. And like one of the mud thumbs, Billy, they gave him a mohawk that goes into a mullet. Now, if you were to take any other race in Mythic Legions and give them a mohawk mullet, it'd be like, what are you doing? This thing's never going to sell. But on a goblin, it's like, yeah, that works and it's cool. Like, it's okay.
You totally buy it, you know. I mean, even what you know, Sir Swift is doing with the pirates. He's like the Goblin Orc pirates. You know what I mean? Like, I know he's made you know, he's made loads of different characters pirates, but the Goblin pirates are just, man. I want to get some muskets and hunt down some Assassin's Creed figures and make my own Goblin pirates. You know. So, yeah.
Well, wanted to jump back. Comment here. Laura's asking how you get your Legions figures across the pond.
Yeah, you know what? Mainly from Michael. Is it Horvath? I think it's Michael Horvath.
Okay.
In the group, yeah, Michael's been an amazing help in terms of acquiring figures for really good prices. And ironically, the other day I was talking to one of the guys. Basically, a lot of the Mythic Legions groups, I feel, are the best place to get figures. even for people that are based in the States, because you're going to get a good deal, or you could do a trade. You know what I mean? And there's a guy called Javier. I've got to shout out Javier. He is in the UK Mythic Legions group, and literally he was selling some goblins the other day. And guys, honestly, I just popped onto Facebook for like 2 minutes, right? I wasn't even doing like a deep scroll. I wasn't doing a deep dive. I was all caught up in the goblin group. You know what I mean? I didn't have to be there. You know what I mean? And then literally, I saw a guy Javier had put a post up for some goblins, some Legion Builder deluxe ones, as well as a thump, and I think it was a Noglin as well. And it was like a few hours ago. So I thought, oh damn, you know, because you guys know what it's like, right? Like if it's like 2 hours ago, you might have missed the boat there. You know what I mean? So literally, I need to get it on my phone so I get alerts. Anyways, so I saw these up and I was like, hey man, so I messaged the guy and asked him where he's based, and ironically, I met him at a station that's in London, and you know, I felt like we were doing like a dodgy deal, because I was waiting outside for him, you know, like it was a bit cold, so I had like a hood on, you know, like, and then he came over with the bag, and then I said, let's look at the stuff, man, you know what I mean, and then I'm just thinking, if we get stopped, stopped and searched by the police, it'd just be hilarious. You know what I mean? 2 adults doing like an action figure exchange.
He meets you outside of a pub with a trench coat on and opens up the one side, and he's just got thistle thorns, 24 of them.
Yeah, exactly, right. And it was cool, man. And then like, so we have it was like going shopping, guys. Literally for the first time, it felt like I'd gone up to West End. You know, like you go to West End and you go, that's where all the like loads of shops are basically in London, right? And then usually, you know, I'd never be able to come home with a bag full of Legions. You know what I mean? Like, so I actually felt like I was able to go and buy Legions like in a normal way. So so to answer your question, through Facebook, you can meet some great people, you can connect with people, and sometimes people are not so far away from where you actually live, so you can meet them in a neutral place, and then you can go from there. But eBay sometimes, but predominantly the Facebook groups.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. Well, let's bring up another side of this is the photography. So we're going to pull up some of your pictures here.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. My buddy Faisal took that picture.
This was as you were talking about earlier, that was doing the Lego stuff with you.
Yeah. My buddy Faisal. Yeah. He literally, this is in a random location. Like Faisal's like a ranger, not really a ranger, but like a ranger without being like, you know, about the title. It's like in a sense where he's always hiking, and yeah, he gets in nature. So we find these deep locations, like deep into the forests, and we just basically do setups. So this is Gears War figures that you're seeing here, and yeah, just decided to do a pose with the figures.
How tall are those? Those look pretty big.
Yeah, do you know what, Curtis? Yeah, they're about 7 inches. Yeah, they're about 7 inches. These guys for the standard soldiers, and you get some that are slightly different. But yeah, I literally had about 14 of them, and it was just like, you know, just a patrol type vibe. So yeah, man.
That's so cool.
Cheers, bro.
Yeah, I always love outdoor shot. Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you, man. I'm really proud of this one. This is, you know, you guys ever come to London, or when you come to London at some point, I've got to take you guys to this place called Abbey Wood. And Lesnes Abbey is actually one of the abbeys that King Henry VIII had destroyed during his reign. And this is actually in the ruins. So it's actually, so this is a place where goblins might actually be hanging out.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Looking for some random treasure and whatnot. And yeah, this is like one of the holes. And then I just made it look like it was a cave. And they were coming out of the cave there.
Oh, it looks great. Like you even got some, it looks like light coming out of the cave. Like there's maybe a fire inside or something. And
yeah, I got
there's kind of looking out of it. Oh yeah, that's awesome.
I just love that progression.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, literally with that image, like, you know, some things just it's like serendipity, right? It's like you just think, oh wow, this just works. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I think thank you, Austin. So, you know, I think someone thought that I'd actually set up a special light at the back, and I was like, you give me too much credit, man. You know what I mean? that was just natural sunlight, and I just saw it and thought, yeah, I've got to take some snaps.
Yeah, but there's a certain recognition on your part to see that and go, oh, this is going to make a good shot, you know? Because I mean, and that's something that I've noticed, like since I've been working on customs, my wife started working on dios and things like that. And we'll be out and we'll see like a rock or a tree or something. And we'll go, oh, wow, that'd be cool for a shot, and it kind of changes the way that you look at just everyday things around you.
Oh,
So,
yeah, Curtis. I literally I say that all the time to people because sometimes, guys, I'll take like a friend or some friends with me to do some action figure photography, and one of my buddies is in the chat, and literally he for a friend Devo, one time he said to me, when I first started to do action figure photography, he said to me, oh man, like I was like, sometimes it can feel a bit awkward because you're like a fully grown adult, like in the woods or just like in a random location with some figures, with some toys. You know what I mean? And I said to him, I wouldn't want some adults to walk up and be like, what are you doing? Like, what are you? You know what I mean? And I remember saying that to him. He's like, don't worry about it, man. And I said, yeah, you're right. And then when we were actually in a location, some little kids came up to us. They were maybe like 10 or 11, and they just stood right next to us and they're watching us. And then I looked at his face, and he was like, he was awkward. He was like. And then they walked up. He's like, I know what you mean, man. Like it can feel a bit awkward. Do you know what I mean? But to be honest, most people are quite intrigued because they see that you're doing photography. Like you're not like running around with them and making them fight each other. You're posing them and you've got your lights and everything. So you can kind of make yourself look a bit more professional and a bit more serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you were sitting down with your legs crossed, just banging them into each other, that might not have the same vibe as setting up a shot. Yeah.
You know I did that once at a small park near me, like a state park. It's like a man-made lake, and there's like a trail and rocks and stuff. I took a bunch of like Jurassic Park dinosaurs out there, and I was like, oh man, these definitely look like toys on rocks. Like,
oh yeah. It's kind of interesting because for me, it's also it's another part of us that has to build that confidence to not care what people think, and to be sort of chilled, and if people got questions so I've been out by myself or with friends sometimes, and people are watching. I'm like, hey, come over, like I'll show you what I'm doing, just so that people feel a bit more comfortable about seeing someone randomly in the woods with toys. Do you know what I mean? And but yeah, I mean, sorry to what Curtis was saying as well. You do look at the world differently, guys. You're like so different, right? I mean, because I'm always like sometimes, even if I'm going to the cinema with some to the movies with some friends, or I'm not planning to do photography, I'll carry like a figure with me, like one or two, just like in my pocket, like, and if I see like something like a random hole in a wall, or if I see like a tree that looks interesting, do you know what I mean? And I'll be like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh no, just give me like 2 minutes, like, and I'm just you set it up, and you do because you're always looking to scale. You're looking to scale of what can actually work to make it look like it's in its own world. So you do look at the world differently, for sure.
Absolutely. I know every time I usually am driving when I'm in my car, so I don't get to like look off, but whenever I'm in a car and someone else is driving and I get to look off at the landscape and stuff, I whenever I see those like the storm drains like that run under a road and it looks like a big concrete block with like the tunnel, like the tube. It's like obviously not big enough for a person. I'm like, oh man, I could do like a really cool like Lord of the Rings or Helm's Deep kind of setup down there. And I'm like,
Jesse, I've been there. I've been there with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or some Gears of War. You make it look like they're in a sewer. You know what I mean? So you catch me crawling through the drain pipes in parks. Like, you know what I mean? Doing themselves. So yeah.
My wife, she'll see like whether it's columns on a building or even just like a brick wall, and she'll look at it, she'll go, oh, that would make a nice dio, like so she's like trying to memorize what it looks like so that she can recreate that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know if you guys, sometimes I'll see something and I'll just have to take pictures of it quickly so that I can maybe come back to the location. Do you know what I mean? And bring some things. So yeah, there's so many possibilities.
I need to get out more. I pretty much go from here, and my two jobs are literally in the same building. So I go from like here to there, or then the couple friends that I get to go spend time with are like minutes away from me. So I don't like deviate from my regular course enough.
yeah. You gotta go for a random trail, because sometimes guys, I mean, I'm not always successful in the sense of finding a good location. And I'll say to friends of mine, I said, at the very least, we're getting some exercise.
There you go.
We're getting a bit of nature, even if we walk for a mile in the woods and don't find anywhere decent, at least we got a bit of, we got to stretch our legs.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good.
So when you were younger, what kind of things were you into? Like what were toy lines as a young kid, Elijah? What were your ones that really got you excited?
It's got to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. TMNT. They were my favorite action figures, and that was my favorite. Like I'd watch, back then, and I feel like, me, I'm 31, right? And I feel like anyone under the age of maybe 21, 22, they don't know, guys, what it's like to run home from school to watch a cartoon. Like they don't know that feeling. Like if you miss it, you might never find out like what happens. You know what I mean? In our minds, right? Where and for me, I had like 2 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle videotapes that I would. It's amazing, guys. You find that you'd watch the same tapes like over and over and over and over again. Like, and kids nowadays would be like, I don't need to do that. I'll just go on a screen and watch unlimited cartoons like whenever I feel like. But for me, I had these TMNT tapes, and Turtles was a lifestyle, man. You know what I mean? Turtles, and the age I am, I guess I came along when Thundercats was like it was still big, but it was kind of going away, and then making way for other shows coming along. But Thundercats for me as well, and even like, you guys seen the movie Warriors, right?
Yeah.
I have not watched it. I know about it, but I've never watched it.
Man. Yeah.
It's been a long time for me, but yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite movies as a kid. We had it on Pirate Video, and and we literally, I used to watch it all the time, and I liked it so much that one time my mum drew Baseball Furies, like these characters, and I colored them in and cut them out, and I used to actually play with these paper characters.
That's awesome.
I had toys. It's not like I didn't have. They bought me toys. My parents bought me toys, but I used to because we didn't have the figures back then, so just the paper ones, But yeah, TMNT, Biker Mice from Mars as well. I don't know.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the original Biker Mice from Mars, and yeah, they were the main ones. Yeah, and Batman, of course, and more of the Marvel ones as well. That was like the main. They were the main ones.
Yeah, awesome. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was towards the end of my collecting, so I didn't get super into them, but I think they did a good job of building off of what worked with like Masters of the Universe and what worked with Thundercats and this and that. They did the same kind of thing where they had these really creative villains. Like if you look at the villains in those, like it's just like very unique. They got an awesome storyline, and because you typically have the same heroes every episode, but you've got a new unique villain, and so they had to like really put a lot of story into the villains. And so you've got kind of like you were talking about the character with the goblins. You got the same thing if you look at the rogues gallery of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah,
like you look at like Rat King, and like there's just stuff like that. Like there's these characters like they're really cool. So
yeah, you're right. I mean, and that's for me, guys. That's what makes look at Batman, right? A lot of people love Batman so much because his villains are wicked. He's got an amazing array of villains. The Joker and the Riddler and all these different like Scarecrow. And you're right with the Turtles, because you got Krang, you got Shredder, you've got Baxter. You got all these different quirky characters. And I feel like that's the most successful adventure type cartoons or movies or TV shows in general. The ones that have really interesting villains. Because almost more interesting. Because like Batman's a straight guy, isn't he? Like he's very there's not that much spice going on. You know what I mean? But with the villains, there's so much more kick to them. So
and I would say that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles probably was the most successful, just because it never went away. Like if you think about it, like over the years, it just kind of keeps reinventing itself. It's for like, I'm a big Masters fan, and for a long time we had nothing. There were no shows, nothing on TV, and then you'd get a 2-year stretch. And then you'd go another 10, 20 years without anything. You know what I'm saying? But for Turtles, it's like, one run will end on TV, and then it's like, guess what? Here comes the new Turtle series, and here's a new line of figures. And
it's so true. I mean, for me, guys, the definitive Turtles, though, I know this is always going to be a debate conversation with people, but the definitive Turtles for me, I'm not talking about the comics, because the comics is a different story. But in terms of the cartoons, is the 2003, 2005 version. For me, like even though the original ones have got a close place in my heart because they were the ones I discovered as a child. Something like you know, guys, when you get cartoons that they still have that childish element to them, but adults can watch them and still be entertained and feel like, oh, I turn this off, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Or you just sort of tolerate it. That series for me, even as an adult, you can still watch like the Batman animated series. You can still watch as an adult and enjoy and not feel like, oh, this is a bit silly, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So for me, that's the definitive. But of course, the OG series, we got to give it up to the OG series as well. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I'm just a little bit younger, like I think just a couple years younger than Curtis at the most. So like Turtles were like prime spot. Like I was there for He-Man and Transformers and all that stuff, but like Turtles hit like right at that sweet spot where it was. I just happened to find them on the shelf and went, head over heels with them for a couple years till I got into comic books. And yeah, I really like that. I think that's the series. I really like the animation style that you were just talking about, but I was in college at the time or whatever, so I didn't really get to get invested in it, but I always liked that style, that look.
Oh yeah. And you know, guys, another thing I'll say about the Turtles, I mean, I could probably write like a whole thesis, like a whole essay about TMNT, and because guys, for me, it's like the perfect story. And when I say that, if you look at the four Turtles, Leonardo, Raphael, Michelangelo, and Donatello, they all, I think there's each one of them someone can see themselves in. You know what I mean? Where you've got Michelangelo, who I relate the most to him, not just because I love nunchuckers and I'm always practicing with them, but he's like he's like the one who doesn't take himself too seriously. Like he doesn't want to lead. He can't be bothered. He'd rather just have fun and just live his life. And he's kind of like the quirky one who's got potential but doesn't, it just can't focus too much, right? And then you've got Leonardo, who's the all-rounder, who's the leader, who has to look after these guys and make sure that he steers them in the right direction. And then you got Raphael, who's the hothead, who's just pure rage and anger that needs to calm his temper down. And then you've got Donatello, who's the brains, like, who fixes all the gadgets and would rather think over actually fighting. And I think, obviously, some people could say, oh, I'm probably like one or two of them, or might be all of them. But there's basically one out there that everyone can relate to in some way. So it's just perfect, For me, that's really intelligent storytelling in terms of how it's structured. So, yeah.
Well, and I think that they did a good job too of making them to where like there's no clear favorite, like you could ask some random person that's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan which one of the four is their favorite, and you may get four different answers, and all of them, it's not like you're gonna laugh at their answers. Like you're not gonna go, what? That's ridiculous. Why would you say that one? You can make a good case for any of the four, and I think you're right. I think there's times where most people would kind of feel like they're similar to multiple of the Turtles, because you have different feelings at different times. Sure. But I just think they're all equally important. There's not one that's clearly the best. Although some people may like to argue that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, I think that's 100% right. Like, cause it was easy to make fun of Aquaman until like the New 52 kind of reimagined him. And then, with the Jason Momoa movie and everything, like, Aquaman was always the easy one to take pot shots at. Because everything most people remembered was the Super Friends cartoon where he's like riding around on a seahorse, and it just looks ridiculous the way they did it in that show.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the Turtles, I've never felt like you were saying that any one of them was the weak one. Like they all, like none of them, like the only thing was that when Sean and I would play as the Turtles at recess, like in elementary school, the only reason we had a hard time getting all four Turtles is because our other friends would want to be like, one guy wanted to be Doc Brown for some reason because he loved Doc Brown from Back to the Future. This other guy wanted to be Mega Man. We just couldn't find enough people that were into the Turtles like we were. So
yeah. Well, that's like, when like, because like I said, I'm from an older generation, and when we would do Masters of the Universe, like it's, you've got to have He-Man's going to save the day. Like it doesn't matter what the other group of people is, He-Man's going to be the one that has to come in and save the day.
Absolutely.
So and so even when it's like, Prince Adam gets captured and you're like, well, what's going to happen here? Because He-Man's still got to save the day, um, but I don't think it's not like that with the turtles, where you expect one of them is going to be the one that pulls it out in the end. Like they are all equally important, and it's they build a good vibe of that. Not only are they equals as a team, but they're also brothers. Like you get that brotherhood amongst them, and they all work well together for sure.
Yeah, I love that they all have their own strengths and their own weaknesses, and for me, that's why I feel like it's lasted such a long time, because these themes in the Turtles and the way it's structured is timeless, because it's about teamwork, and I forget sometimes they're teenagers, aren't they? Like that's literally what they are. So they're kind of in that stage of not, they're not quite adults, but they're not children, like, you know what I mean? Like young children, they're like young adults. And it's true. And then you got Master Splinter. There's always someone to look up to. There's always someone that you have to bow to. He's always the leader. He's always there. And they've got a sense of humor, which is one of the coolest things as well.
Yeah, I think for me, my definitive Turtles is the 90s, the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, the TMT movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I went to. There was a movie theater about a mile away from my house that me and my buddy used to ride our bikes there, and it was $1 theater. So every movie was $1. And I remember when TMNT came out, we had like $10 each, and we went up there and we would just watch that movie over and over all day long. We just sat. We never left the theater,
Yeah.
So it was pretty awesome, and like we enjoyed it every single time. There wasn't a time that we watched it that wasn't like towards the end we're like, okay, we're sick of this movie now. No, like we're ready to come back the next day.
Oh man, that's still one of my favorite movies of all time. And I think sometimes there's like a bit of a snobbery when people talk about their favorite movies and stuff. Like they feel like they can't, they've got to like categorize it. I'm like, no, it's in my top 10 movies of all time. Like forget, like so is Hook and other films like that.
Oh,
it's
Hook's
literally
great.
right. Hook. Do you know what I mean, Jesse? Hook is so underappreciated. I know in the Turtles, but it's like I'll listen to the soundtrack from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie when I'm doing customizing, or like when I'm just anything. I love that movie, man. And it's guys, those movies that are they originally make them for children, but it doesn't insult children's intelligence.
Yeah.
No, I mean even as an adult now, like if I watch that TMNT movie, like the scene where Leo's sitting on the chair while Raph is in the tub, like recovering and stuff, like I get emotional that, and it's like, it's here are these guys that are in these like suits, and it is kiddish and it's cartoonish and this and that, but like there's a lot of emotion in there. Like, so even as an adult, I watch that and I kind of get like, oh man, this is starting to get to me a bit,
Oh, yeah, those feels again.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was childish and fun, but like you were saying before, like about something that like they didn't talk down to kids with it in that movie. It was sincere. It felt grounded and realistic, even though it was a completely preposterous concept. And you see that in April's reaction to them and everything. But sorry, talk Turtles forever, but
absolutely.
I love. I don't know if either of you guys have watched the CGI He-Man on Netflix, where they're like younger kids, but I feel like they do a similar thing with that series where they've taken that role of He-Man, of Adam being the only one to save the day, and split it amongst the team.
Oh, cool.
And I think that's a really fun, unique take on that. Whereas like Turtles with Curtis, you were saying they reinvented themselves every couple of years. And it was just the new take. I feel like He-Man hasn't really gotten enough of that to where there's a lot of resistance to anything different. If it's not Filmation or the mini comics, it's hard for people to latch onto it. But
I think with He-Man, typically as we've gotten new ones, it's been how do you keep putting the same stuff out there, but make it look new and make it this and that. So with that CGI series, I do like that there's a drastic change in a lot of the characters. Like it's a totally new series. There's some characters that you would look at and you wouldn't even recognize them from the original figures or cartoon. But it's fun. It's enjoyable. It's got a good story to it. Like me and my wife have this thing that we call a good heart story. It's got a good heart story, so you watch it and you just kind of feel good. And it's like, it talks about teamwork and working together and respecting one another. And so, yeah, that it is good to see that for a property that I love, to see that kind of thing is nice for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and guys, I'm I guess last to wrap it up as well in terms of the turtle talk, because we can talk about turtles tonight if you want. But I have to mention, if you two haven't seen it or anyone watching this, there's an amazing turtle movie called Turtles Forever. Have you seen it?
I don't think so.
Was that the one that was the finale to the Rise of the Turtles, like just last year?
Oh no! Oh, it's do you know what? It uses the same iteration of the Turtles from 2005 to 2003.
Oh, okay.
But what's great about it is that it goes through what's it called? Different multiverses. So
cool.
All the different versions of the Turtles we've seen before appear in this one movie.
Oh, that's cool.
Right. So and I love that because it's not it basically bigs up all the ones that already have been, and it shows that they all exist within this universe. You know what I mean? Like within this greater, grander scale, and then they link up the OG cartoon Turtles with the 2003 ones, and they even bring in black and white ones with all the same, like the ones from the original comics. Right. And they've got their own version of that, and then they show this other random, like they're just basically all these different versions, right? And they team up. So I think, and the Shredders team up as well to fight the two different groups of turtles. And
that's cool.
Yeah,
I'll have to check that out because that sounds cool.
Yeah,
but He-Man could do that. I don't know if they would, but I think He-Man could.
They've done some of that in the comic books, and it hasn't gone well. but yeah.
Fair enough.
I think, and we've kind of talked about this before, so I don't want to go too much of a tangent, but the He-Man community is just one where it kind of feels like you never can make the entire fan group happy. So it's just, they fight everything. And so much so that, like, when Kevin Smith did this last series, like, he got so much, flack from the actual fans, like people that you would think would be excited that this is the first time we're seeing He-Man in many, many years. And they just gave him so much trouble that he didn't really want to do it again. He was eventually talked into doing a second season, but it's just not good. So
yeah,
it's definitely not a Cabal-like feeling. That's for sure.
I get it.
Speaking of characters and storytelling and everything, I want to get into this a little bit. I know I've never done this outside of some classes at school, but you're interested in acting. You've done some acting, or what does that help play into your, when you said when you're making characters, like, are you creating the character and then you start customizing with the Legion or with the figures, or do you come up with it as you're working on it and like I don't know if you do the, like, because I know you've done some voices and I've seen some of your acting reels, like
cool.
I get voices in my head as once the character starts to develop in my mind.
Oh yeah, same. Yeah, I mean, I've been acting professionally for about 13 years, so that's mainly what I do. And yeah, I'm writing scripts and creating characters, and sometimes the figures inspire like whole stories, like in terms of like scripts, and because I've got several projects I'm working on at the moment. And I know what you mean, like the process. Like, do you just start to randomly create features and then you decide what this character's name is, or do you think about all that before? For me, a lot of the time, I'll see like a cool item that could go on it, or I can disfigure the character's face or that sort of stuff, and then just slowly conjure up a backstory for the characters. So it just depends, really. And yeah, it's always, I wouldn't say it's exclusive to just people that act as well, because I think all of us, since we were children, like to create characters, and like it's like, what you're saying earlier, when you was younger, no one would want to, like, you wouldn't get enough people to play the Turtles because people wanted to be Doc Brown and all this. And that's the beauty of, I was going to say children, but that's the beauty of people thinking, like, just using their imaginations. And unfortunately, I think as we get older, that gets sort of beaten out of people a little bit, because like by society and having to act like an adult, you know what I mean? But for me, it depends. Like, sometimes I'll conjure up a character as I go and freestyle it and then see what happens. And then other times I'll really sit there and think, right, I want a general, or I want a squad leader, or I want a sergeant, or I want a thief, or, for the goblins. So yeah, it just depends. Different process.
So we got one here asking if we can get your goblin voice.
Oh wow, okay, wicked. Well, let me see what I can do. So what I would do is have the goblin maybe talk like that and make him like have a dodgy voice. And for some reason he's got an English accent. I don't know why.
That's awesome.
Like London, like yeah, I did a monologue, like an orc monologue. I think I showed you guys one time. But I feel like their voices would be like that, and they sound like they're up to no good. And it's, it's a bit, it's an unsettling type of voice.
That's good though. That's cool.
That's great.
Yeah, something like that.
All right. Well, let me ask you: have you watched the Willow series on Disney Plus?
Do you know what? I haven't actually gone near it yet, and
Okay.
It's something I've wanted to see. I know that there's an actress in it who apparently looks like my twin, or looks like we could be related in some way.
Oh,
yeah, Erin Kellyman. Apparently, we look alike.
yeah. I mean,
I don't know how much, but yeah.
there's some similar hair coloring and freckles.
Yeah.
I mean, she's in
Winter Soldier, right?
The Falcon and the Winter Soldier show. She's in Solo. I overall I like the show. It gets in its own way, I think, but they do. You remember the original movie? There's the trolls on the bridge, the black furry things, and they fall into the.
Honestly, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it in such a long time. Man.
Okay.
I think I've seen it like once as well, guys. So I can't. I'm not qualified.
Okay. Well, if you watch it, I'm intrigued to think. I'd like to hear, and you can just message me or in the chat or whatever. I'm curious to think what you, because they're just basically feral animals in the original movie, and in the show they do something really weird with them, and it just really didn't work for me. But since you haven't seen it, we'll pass on.
We'll come back to that. Yeah.
I actually haven't tried it yet, just because the person that I heard that was the most excited for it was Jesse, and then Jesse also kind of acted like he was disappointed with it.
Yeah.
So I've just kind of left that one alone for right now. Now, if he comes back around and he says, you know what, it had a strong finish and it's worth a watch, then maybe I'll check it out. But right now, I don't have a whole lot of desire to look at it.
They take a good story. I think the overall story is good. I think the actors are good, but then they did some things where they used some like modern music in the show, which they didn't do that in the movie. It's not like Knight's Tale where they've worked in "We Will Rock You" into the opening, or whatever. It just, the first 4 episodes are very cinematic and the epic score and all of this, and then the 5th episode starts off with like a punk rock song in the scene, and I'm like, what is going on? Not just like jazzed up medieval sounding music. It's just a straight up off the radio pop song, and I'm like, why? And
that probably would have worked, guys. I don't know if you guys ever checked this out, right? But there's this whole thing on YouTube called medieval hip hop, where people have taken like think of like a 50 Cent song or like a Run DMC song, and people have taken it and they've actually made it like how it would sound from the medieval times.
Awesome.
If they'd do something like that with a modern song, then at least it's the instruments and it could be, you could just believe it's a song from that time.
Sure.
It's like they did it in, was it in Django? They played a Rick Ross song in the Django Unchained movie with Jamie Foxx.
Oh yeah.
And it was just really like, it's not Western vibe, so I imagine it's the same thing you're talking about,
Yeah, it just, especially it's supposed to be these like scary bad guys are chasing the heroes down, and you're supposed to feel like they're stressed, and it's almost like it wasn't I don't give a damn about my reputation, but it had that kind of energy to it. I'm like, what is going on right now? Is this Shrek? This isn't Shrek.
Yeah, only Shrek can do that.
But it's overall, I'll give the next season a chance if it gets another one, just because I like the characters enough and they do some really cool things with it. Yeah, but I wouldn't call it must watch, unfortunately.
I hear you.
Yeah, I've not heard of medieval hip hop. I've listened to medieval metal, which I kind of went down a rabbit hole with that, and it's kind of the same kind of thing where they basically take like a kind of a bard type, music, like medieval type of music, but then they add some electric guitar to it and, give it a little bit of an edge. And I occasionally I'll listen to some of that when I'm customizing. So,
guys, I mean, Kurt, do you listen to I'm Amath at all?
What's that?
So there's a group called Amon Amath, and it's like Viking heavy metal rock music.
I don't know that I have them on my playlist, but I'll check them out. I listen to a lot of Falconer, Glory Hammer. So, but yeah, I'll check them out.
Check them out. Awesome. Yeah.
Nope. It'll come back.
Well, you just kind of side note, like you were mentioning Knight's Tale earlier. I love that movie. Like,
I love that movie.
Oh,
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen that in years, but that is a movie that Steve Fudger.
I remember going to that a group of friends in college. We went and saw that because a bunch of us, we wanted to get into filmmaking. We were, you know, I wanted to write and all this stuff. And so we went and saw this. And my friend Mark, we're sitting there, and you remember the scene where he's like, "I'll win this tournament for you," and she's like, "No, if you want to prove my love, you'll lose."
Oh, I hate when she does that.
And then like so he takes the beating. It's just that montage of him getting like knocked down, and everybody's like, "Oh," and then the handmaiden comes up to him. She's like, "Oh," he's like, "No, I'll lose. I know." And she's like, "No, she wants you to win." And oh man, I just forget what he says. Like. Something about women, and my friend just yells out, "That's so true!" The whole theater lost it.
She makes me so mad in that part. It's like, so he's supposed to prove his love to you, but here you are letting him get his ass beat, like just right and left, and you don't even care. Yeah, that part made me that. But like the part at the end where he's in the stocks, and then the king comes over and has that little talk with him, and then just I love when he says beyond contestation. Like that's just I love that. Like anytime I can use beyond contestation, that's I'll say that to my kids, like don't touch the thermostat, and that's beyond contestation.
Oh yeah, I mean I think sometimes some of these words, like I learned the word bodacious from a team. Because it's saying bossa nova and then bodacious. But it's kind of, oh, sorry, Jesse, go on.
No, go ahead.
I can't remember.
My takeaway line from the Turtles is pork rind.
And
I always do that with Sean. If we're just we'll be hanging out, and I'll just go pork rind, and he'll be like pork rind. And from Knight's Tale, it's well, maybe not you. When
yeah. I mean that's the thing. It's movies that are like one of my favorite movies, and I'd love to talk with you guys about this. This is one of another top 10, maybe top 5 movie of all time, right? And I'm going to drop it, guys, and I'm building up the anticipation because I'm excited to discuss this movie with you. If you guys want to talk about it,
yeah,
it is the original Conan the Barbarian movie.
Oh yeah,
right. Yeah. I mean, for me, that is I love that movie for so many different reasons, and I watched it again recently, and it's similar to the TMNT movie, and I'm going to find a way to link this. There is method to this, right? In a sense where the sequel was watered down to appeal maybe to even a wider audience and make it even more kind of, I mean, with Conan definitely. So The Destroyer, when you compare it to the sequel, was it The Secret Ooze or The Secret of the Ooze? Again, it's like the original movies are amazing. Conan the Barbarian and the first TMNT film, and then slowly they were still great to watch, but they just wasn't as great as their predecessors. But that Conan movie for me, the score alone, by Basil, the soundtrack alone for me is just one of the greatest soundtracks of all time. I love the music in that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like the original Conan had a little bit more of an adult flavor to it. Now, I will say I like both the Conan movies, and I like Red Sonja too. Like I know there's a lot of people don't like Red Sonja. I love Red Sonja.
Yeah.
So like all of those, I'm down with those for sure. And then my other one in that same genre was, we've kind of talked about this before, me and Jesse, is Beastmaster.
Oh, yeah.
So like those 4 for me, like they were on TNT when I was a kid, like all the time. You could find one of the Conans or Red Sonja or Beastmaster on pretty much nonstop. And I would just watch them as much as humanly possible. For sure.
Yeah. One of my friends commented, he said, "What is good in life?" I think he meant to say, "What is best in life?"
Yeah.
To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of the women.
Yeah, I mean, Crumb laughs at your 4 wins.
Yeah, I mean, literally, guys, I memorized the prayer. Like I know like every word of that movie. You know what I mean? It's for me, and guys. Again, when what someone's going through in their actual life really kind of coincides with the character they're playing, right? So, for example, have you guys seen Dreamgirls with Eddie Murphy?
I don't know that I
No.
have. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
even know that I've heard of that movie.
Oh, yeah. He was nominated for an Oscar for that one. It was a really good performance.
What's it called again?
Dreamgirls. Beyonce, Jamie Foxx are in it.
Okay.
As well. Yeah, and the reason why I compare that is because Arnold at the time wanted to show people that he could actually act. You know what I mean? He wanted to show them, and he had that that burning desire to prove himself. And obviously Conan has that. You know what I mean in the film. So it was like a perfect syncage, like perfect combination of the actor playing the character. You know, and it's when someone just embodies a character, because of course the accent, the look is not how Conan originally looked. You know, Momoa is actually closer to looking like the original Conan from the comics than Arnold is. But that movie for me, with James Earl Jones, as False of Doom, and Subotai, and all these other amazing actors that made appearances in it. Yeah, for me, man, that movie's just it's fantastic, man. Like it's a brilliant movie. My dad loved it as well, and he even named one of my sisters after one of the characters as well in it. So yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
So yeah. So it was one of them things.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, last week we were talking about some of the Frazetta art and stuff, and I didn't grow up with any of that. So my Conan was Arnold. Like, he was my Conan. So when I see like Mezco puts out this Conan, I'm like, I don't know who this guy is, but that's not my Conan. Like, I don't know who, with this long black hair and stuff. I'm like, yeah, this is not Conan. Like, I know Conan, and that's not him. He's doing the sword poses over his head and stuff, and
it's true that Mezco guys is looking really appealing. Like, I really want to get myself one of those Conans, those Mezcos, because I think he works really well with Mythic Legions as well. You know, so I'd love to. Obviously, the parts, of course, we've seen it. So that I dig that.
I think, like, when you put him side by side with other like knights or something, from what I've heard, he looks kind of small, but like if you have him fighting like skeletons or something like that, then it looks pretty good. So it just depends on how you would set it up for a photo or in a display, for sure.
Of course.
But
yeah, I'll get one of them for sure, man.
And it's been so long since I've watched the Conan movie that I wouldn't be able to hold up a very long conversation about. But I remember, like Chris was saying, it was on TNT, and I would see bits and pieces of it. And I finally got like the 2 DVD set, like 15, 20 years ago or whatever, and like actually got to sit down and watch them all the way through. And there's just something. I totally agree that the progression, just like the Turtles, the first one's really good, the second one's entertaining, but it's not on the same caliber. But there's just something fun about that sort of like fantasy movie where they probably didn't have the biggest budget, and they just went for it. They got you enough in the feel of the world, and it was
well. And I think my childhood watching it was so much on the TNT that I didn't even realize till I was an adult that there's actually nudity in the first Conan movie. Like, I didn't know, because I'm watching on TVT, and all the time they're cutting all that out. So so I don't think I really truly understood how different the first and second movie were until I saw like the regular versions, the theatric versions, when I was an adult. So.
Oh yeah, it's so true, because the first one, it's like, Conan's being made to fight for his life in pits, and then in the Destroyer, he's drunk and he walks into Bombata's chest and gets knocked out. It becomes really goofy, and but I think what both of those have in common as well with the TMNT and the Conan movies is, because they used a lot of practical effects. It's like they've aged better. You know what I mean? Like if it was with CGI, because it improved so much. Even if you look at the original Lord of the Rings film, as amazing as that movie is, the CGI at the beginning, it's like, oh, you can really see that it's not real. You know what I mean? Because the CGI improves every year. Like, so I think using the practical effects is the Turtles. I still love how the Turtles look today.
Well, that's like, even I know they've done re-renderings and stuff like that of like the Star Wars films where they've kind of digitally remastered or whatever they call it, but a lot of those effects with the small models and things like that they did, still holds up over time. It still looks good, Definitely. So
100%. How that looks. Those old shows in general. I'm a big sci-fi fan too, guys, so I am excited about Cosmic Legions, because it's expanded our fodder bin.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because now we can anything that with the Z, like anything to do with aliens or predators, and we could have mixed them anyway with the mythics, but now we can look at Terminator, we can look at the Gears of War, Halo. We can mix so many different bits and pieces together.
Yeah.
So speaking of cosmic, this week was the test shot. Did you go for anything?
Oh no, man! I'm too new, man, to be. The money I've got, man, I got used to acquire, spare Legion. But how about you guys? Did you guys manage to pick something up, right?
I got a couple of different ones. Jesse, well, you were going for what? Weren't you going for one?
I was hoping to snag one of the Sphexians, but it just wasn't fast enough.
Yeah, I was able to get two. I got one and my wife got one. So we actually were set up in the house. My wife was on this computer. I was on my laptop and my daughter was on her laptop. And we were like, if out of the three of us, if we can end up with one out of three, we're happy. And we ended up with 2 out of 3. So we were pretty happy. So I got the Sentry and my wife got Ziri. But we're taking ours and sending them off to Len at Wolf King Customs so that he can get measurements and look at them for new parts and stuff. Because a lot of this stuff, if we go to try to make new parts for it now and we don't know how things fit and stuff, like, I don't know if you saw Jeremy's show a couple weeks ago, but he had like the test shot Sphexian and it's got like this kind of arced neck. Well, if you don't know the angle of that neck and you don't know how it's going to come off, trying to come up with a head for it as a replacement head, it's maybe not going to look right, so you kind of have to have those parts in hand in order to see how 3D parts will work with it. So we're sending those to Len and hopefully he can come up with some cool stuff. And then I don't know what we're going to do with it after that. Trevor's saying I got a Ziri, but I know he got one too. So I'm not falling for that one.
I mean, do you think anyone's going to be tempted to take one of the test shots and actually like paint it up a little bit?
Man,
I'm sure somebody will.
I really hope
somebody
not.
will.
I really hope not.
I meant to do that with them, right? But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It might be eager to get their hands on them,
It'd be like going and taking a work of art in the museum and painting it up. Like you just don't do that. Like, yeah. But I am excited to get Cosmic Legion in hand. I think they're going to be fun. I think it's going to open up a whole new world of possibilities in terms of, fodder that you can use from other lines and other figures that you can maybe mix in or things like that. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm excited, and I can see that the expansion is going to be huge. Because even the new venue, guys, for the next Legions Con, which I know obviously you guys are going to be there. It's like, isn't it like 3 times bigger than the last?
Just about twice the size.
I was getting excited to get ahead of myself.
I think it's going from like something like 6,000 something square feet to about 11,000 something square feet for the showroom.
Yeah. But it's just such a bigger space than obviously the original space, and I know that even with the rooms, I looked at the rooms and it looks like a lot of them are like sold out already, right? Like there's not as many rooms left because they're jumping on it.
Yeah. They've already sold, at this point, we're in February. It's not till November. And we've already sold more rooms than last year. So yeah, it's definitely going quick. Are you thinking of coming out for that?
Oh yeah, 100%, guys. Yeah, I'll be there.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll be there, man. I'm gonna come over and I'll definitely. I've got to get a visa and everything, man.
That's beautiful. Oh, wow. Yeah, I think it's pretty awesome that we've part of this community that people are willing to travel from all over the world. We got Tomas and Emil coming from Sweden. You're coming from over there in the UK, and we got people within the US. Like traveling from California is no easy feat. I think I had about a 17-hour drive last year. And then before I even went, Billy drove to me about 10 hours before we went on our drive. So Billy was in the car for about, 25 out of 27 hours or something like that. So yeah, it's just pretty cool that, people are willing to, give up their vacation time, give up, do this travel, because when you get there, the feeling of being around all these folks and just how welcoming everybody is, there's nothing like it. It's the best feeling in the world.
Oh yeah, I've watched so many of the videos, guys. From Nolan's channel, to just different people's channels, basically. And yeah, it's cool stuff, man. Yeah, and I felt like I was there. You know what I mean? Because I saw so much great coverage of all you guys getting together, and it just yeah, it looks like a beautiful atmosphere to be a part of. And I was like, I have to be there, man. Like, because I did buy a ticket. Like, I was gonna come to the last one, and then I ended up just giving that ticket to Walter because he was like, has anyone got any tickets? I just gave it to me. He's gonna send me a goblin. So like like he generously will send me some. So
Cool.
I'm happy with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, so literally I have to come to this one, man, because obviously getting to know you guys and getting to know so many more people. Because joining the community in September, obviously it was like only like 2 months after. So it was like, yeah, I thought let me just wait a little while and I'll come up next year.
You just make sure you bring an extra bag with you so that you can take a bunch of figures home.
Yeah.
I'm turning up with an empty bag. I'm gonna probably have one pair of jeans, you know what I mean?
That's all you need. Yeah.
One t-shirt, one hoodie. But I forget sometimes, you were talking about the drive, Curtis, from California. It's like, I forget sometimes how massive America is in comparison to the UK. It's like, even driving from one state to the other can be like a
yeah, I mean, I'm in the middle of the country, so it was like 17 hours for me. If you were to try to drive from California, it would take, a couple days. So yeah, it's definitely a trek for sure. So
yeah, not for me, but
yeah, not for Jesse. Jesse's is what do you got, about 45 minutes?
No, it's not that close. It's about 3 hours.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was closer than that.
No.
Oh,
gotcha.
I heard the story, guys. Was it, didn't Emil, because I love hearing the story from different people, where like Emil basically, didn't he go to like, he landed somewhere and then he like drove somewhere else?
The first year,
2021, yeah.
Yeah, the first year he landed in New Jersey, then caught another flight. And I mean, he was in New Jersey, like right near where the Legion's Con is going to be. Then took another flight to Michigan in order to drive with the guys from Michigan back to New Jersey, where he was just at. So,
I love that though. That's some serious dedication,
Yeah.
And I think, I think sometimes, people don't realize sometimes, like for me, most of my friends that I've grown up with, and most of my friends, that I've met along my travels, just in general, most of them aren't into what we're into. You know what I mean? And the online communities are amazing because it can be a bit lonely. It can be a bit lonely sometimes. If you are into the figures and there's no one local, like all of my friends and family, they'll come and they'll look at the figures and they'll be like, oh, these are cool, but they're not going to go as far as to like get involved and start collecting. So for me, to meeting you guys and just so many really cool people that have the similar, interests online, it's been great because sometimes you'll realize some people live closer than you think, and you'd never meet them if you weren't involved in these spaces, So that's something I'm very grateful for.
As cool as this is, getting to do like this with the technology we have and everything, and the way the Cabal is and how welcoming it is.
Yeah.
When you walk into that hotel and you start making connections with people and you realize, oh, this is so, because names are going to be weird at first because everybody's, especially if they use icons instead of their actual profile or their actual pictures.
Yeah.
But like, it's going to be overwhelming in the best way. Like, it's just take it in. And, as Curtis and I both kind of had like post-con blues, and I think a lot of people did. So just mentally start preparing yourself, not to like be down about it when it's over, but that, there's going to be that void, when you, especially because you're going to have a further trek to go to get back home and everything.
Yeah.
Well, and I think there's a certain amount of exhaustion too, especially if you're if you've got an exhibit or you're presenting something at Legion's Con and you're working towards that. So you're doing, a massive amount of painting or whatever it is beforehand. And then, that event happens and then you get home and it's like, you just kind of like exhale for a bit and then it's like, okay. And then eventually you get back into the swing of things, but yeah, for sure.
Of course.
And that's another thing where the community helps. Like Curtis and I were able to like, we were like in whatever funk, but, talking about the show and, different things and just, customizings that we wanted to do and stuff just really helped. So,
well, it's a cool day and age that we live in that we can communicate with these people from all over the world, because I don't have anybody in my area that I know that collects or customizes. So if it wasn't for folks online, like I wouldn't have an outlet to talk to somebody about it. But you know, I can jump in on a Sunday and reach out to Jesse and say, hey, Jesse, you think about doing any painting today? Like, how about we open up a studio? And Jesse would say, yeah, that sounds good. And so I'll open up a studio in the Wolf Den. Next thing you know, we got 10 folks in there painting or doing whatever, that we're all just kind of talking about what we're doing and you know, sharing as we're going. So it's just cool that we have the technology today that we can do that with folks from all over the world.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. I mean, it's either that or you just got to do your best to convert your friends.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Your local friends. Yeah.
Yeah. Just give them figures and put it in their hands. Say, no, just mess around with this for a little bit. I swear you're gonna love it.
Do you guys always take pleasure in seeing the look on people's faces when they see the figures for the first time? You know, and then you look in you can see it in the eye. You're like, yeah, we got another one.
Yeah.
Well, Curtis was in there. He helped run the Wolf Den room at the breakout room. Oh, and even though everybody in that room was there for Legions Con, the reaction to so many people realizing how they broke down, like even just within the modularity of the Mythic Legions before they even started throwing in other figure lines into it, it just was like, now granted, I didn't understand the modularity when I first got them, but by the time I got to Legions Con, I did that first year. But like, it blew my mind that they're like, and I don't mean this in an insulting way, that they just didn't know that that's what these do. So seeing that spark ignite as they started pulling the things apart, and you know, some of them were really kind of not timid, but a little hesitant, like, oh, can I do this? And they pull the arm off, and then it's just like, oh, you know, and it's not the demented kid from Toy Story, it's not that kind of thing, but
it's one of those things where it's like, you know, most of the folks in there, all of them came for Legions, and most of them were in the Cabal. So it's not like they haven't been around this stuff or know that they can be customized, but they just have never really spent time pulling them apart or doing stuff like that. So seeing that magic or that spark or whatever come for them was like, it was so rewarding. Like at one point in the middle of it, like Jeremy stands up and he's like, gets everybody in the room's attention. He's like, look at this. And he takes like a Lord of the Rings figure that was in a fodder bed, and he just like snaps it right at the waist. And everybody's like, oh, and like, what did you just do? And he's like, and he took off like the waist piece of it and popped it right onto another figure. And he's like, this is what you can do. And everybody's like, oh, like, you know, just totally shocked with it. And, you know, and then just even seeing things like switching pauldrons or switching hands and stuff. And people are like, we didn't know it was this easy. Like it is just play around with these things. They're fun.
Oh yeah. Funny you say that. Literally, I've just got this right here. This, I don't know if it's going to lag, but just playing around with this, you know, this is an orc from Mario Orc, I believe.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I've just got like literally next to the computer desk, like I've got all this fodder stuff just lying here, just waiting to be, you know, mixed and matched. But yeah, no, I love that. And I've learned a lot from Jeremy as well, actually, watching his tutorial videos. I think a lot of people have probably spent some time watching those videos. And yeah, like the Samurai Icon ones, for example. Like recently with the
he does those articulated icons stuff, and and
it's just, you know, guys, those tips that some of them I knew before I even knew about Mythic Legions, you know, with putting the figures in like warm water and putting them after it's been in the microwave for like 2 minutes without the figure, of course. Me, I'd be so impatient before, you know, I'd just like use my teeth and stuff, and then you think, well, there's an easier way to do it, you know.
Well, he did a video yesterday on painting runes, and it was so easy that like I watched this video and I'm like, I immediately, my thought was, I'm a moron, because all this time, like if I'm painting runes in a sword, what I've done is I've painted it, and then I've gone over and painted the outside with the metal color that I want the sword to be. And he's like, yeah, you just swipe the paint off or swipe the paint in there, and then you grab a paper towel and wipe off the outside, and boom, it's done. And I'm like, that's so easy. Like, how did I not think of that? Like you know,
even the masking, was it the masking techniques when you get like tape and you put it like it's like that, you put the tape here and then you just basically the other side of it. And I'm like, Oh yeah, like you know, I'm sitting there for hours, like making mistakes and getting like a
Right.
me and my makeshift kit. I'm getting like a needle, and I'm using the needle to scrape bits of paint off. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So you know, but I love the techniques though, and everyone's got different ways, just like you two do, of doing things, and then just sharing ideas and just learning and growing together. You know, so I'm still so new to it, so I'm just working it out.
Well, one of the things I definitely want to make mention of tonight, because we won't have another show before it happens, is this upcoming Saturday, the sale that they're going to have with the Unknown One and the Furious Four parts. Because the Furious Four, I will say, like when I opened that after I got home from Legion's Con, because I didn't open it at Legion's Con. I waited till I got home.
Mhm.
That set for me was the first time since I had the original deluxe barbarian kit when I opened it that I was like, what am I even going to make with these? Because there's so many parts, and like you open it up and it's like I don't even know what configuration I'm going to make out of these figures, because there's so many different options that you could come up with. So I just want to make sure that we recommend that for any folks that are out there this upcoming Saturday. I think it's it's 12 Eastern, just like the ISS has been for the test shots. They're going to have that Unknown One, I believe, is 50. I think it's 55 because it's going to be a deluxe Legion builder. But the Furious Four are 37 each. And I'm telling you, for $37, that's the best $37 you're ever going to spend, because those are really good. So
yeah, man. Do you know what? Honestly, I remember looking at the video footage from the last Legions Con, of course, that you were at, and I was thinking to myself, I looked at the queues and stuff, and I thought, because there's no goblins that are like exclusive, like I'd get in there like a lot quicker. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
I know the queue for the exclusives is obviously a bit longer, isn't it? And I thought to myself, I want to see all the customs. Well, I'm assuming. I thought I just want to see the custom stuff, you know. And so, how was it, guys?
The first day, the line, what they thought was going to be the best flow for it ended up not being the best flow, so they corrected it on the second day. So they had the line for the horseman table. You went through the horseman table and then you went to the exclusive table, so it choked it up. So they moved the exclusives out into the hallway so you could buy them there. And then if you wanted to get into the regular horseman line, you could. So they believe they're going to do something similar to that this year, where you'll be able to get the exclusives separately and then get in line for the horseman table.
As far as like the numbers of exclusives though, like if you've got a ticket and you're in there, you're going to get your exclusive. It's they had plenty extra on both days, to where they actually opened it up afterwards so that people could buy more than what the limits were. So you don't have to worry about like them running out. So if it's something where you want to get in and just get the exclusive right away, you can. But if you'd rather do something else, look at some tables or get in the Four Horsemen line and then get the exclusive later, you can definitely do that as well. So
yeah, 'cause I remember watching the videos and I thought to myself, hey, well, because there's no goblins involved in that exclusive. Like, I mean, it'll be really just my fortune that there's like a exclusive goblin this year, which would be great. You know what I mean? But then I'll just be in the queue with everyone else. You know, just be like, yeah, I'm waiting. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm excited, guys. By the time the next Legions Con, the Legions Con comes, will we have Swig by then? Because is Swig
Swig should be here within the next month or so.
Yeah.
Well, at least to the studio within the next month or so, and then start shipping out.
Yeah. So I mean, you never know what they're going to have at the tables, but the timing would make sense that yes, they would have Swig available at the table by Legion's Con for sure.
Because this past year they had a lot of the Alithia wave and a lot of the Deluxe Legion Builder waves. They had other stuff too, but those were like the main big quantity items they had. So I imagine All Stars 5+, unless there's any really weird delays, I imagine the Poxa stuff and some of the Cosmic stuff would probably be there by then.
Yeah,
probably.
And I'm hoping that we get. I would assume that we're going to get another All Stars vote here very shortly. It usually is around the February to March timeframe that you start seeing the vote being talked about. And then if we could get another Legion Builder wave, that would be awesome too. Whether it's Deluxe Legion Builder or reinforcements, whatever. So
I see that comment from Trevor about the bottles. There was a lot of confusion with the bottles, right? Because
I think he's never gonna regret, or he's always gonna regret putting that bottle in that picture.
it did look good though.
It does look good.
Yeah.
I want some of those bottles.
Maybe instead of Trevor just feeling bad for putting the bottle in there, he just needs to get involved in the process early enough that they can make their own bottle for
Or
it.
he can just go buy all the bottles from Hobby Lobby or wherever those things came from and just sell them at his table. You know, the swig accessory set.
He just needs to get involved in the process early and just hang out with Treadway and say, listen, hey, I think this character is good, but you know what would really make it photograph well? If I had a bottle with it.
I'd love to see that.
Why don't you just sculpt one of those real quick there?
That's going to be the peasant legions line that they'll do. They'll come with bottle accessory packs.
Yeah, cool. The villagers.
No, but I was looking at was it the biblical adventures, right? And that line there is there's so many bits and pieces you could just mix and match, right? I mean, the clothing that I see in that you could kind of make some peasants with, and I know with the Motu figures, I know you guys think about this stuff all the time as well. It's just what you can mix and match with to make. Yeah. I wish we could all have like a secret look into what these guys are doing over there, because I know they're always cooking up some.
Get your name in for intern for a day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's a good one for sure. Yeah,
that's as close as a behind the scenes look as you're going to get, unless you start working there.
Oh, dude, man. I mean, listen, they're going to want to make films at some point, so I'll have a chat and see what I can do. Yeah.
And speaking of mixing things in with our legions, one of the things that this past year that I thought has been a really great addition to at least my legions collection was adding another one of the D20 mounts. Don't know if you guys out there have those. I got the wolf last year, and just recently I got in the boar, and it is phenomenal. I mean, I love everything the horsemen do, and their horse has been great. The moose this past year was fantastic, but these D20 mounts, I tell you what, they fit in perfectly with mythics. They look great. But I think we've got something to show tonight, don't we?
Yep.
Jesse?
Yes, that was a beautiful setup, Curtis. I'm gonna bump set spike this here, especially since the person who is working on this is in the chat. I think I don't know, Anthony. If you're still there, let us know. But Anthony from the Toy Forge has produced a new boar kit for the D20 boar. Curtis, I know you probably have a little bit more information on this, but I believe, what is it? The helmet, the neck.
The helmet, the
fur
part
piece.
with the part with the mane has got like some armored part as well as the hair coming out of it. That's a whole new saddle there.
Okay.
And then the face plate has got both combination of kind of a textured metal look as well as some leather. It's one of those things for those of you that have gotten the boar mount. What it normally comes with, they do have a bear version, not a bear like the animal bear, but like they have one without the bones and all the armor that it comes with later this year. But the original version that came out is just covered in like these spiky bones and everything, which, if you want your boar to mix in with, whether it's orcs or skeletons or something like that, it's an okay look. But I know myself and a lot of the others wanted to put the boar with the dwarves, and the bones that come on the D20 boar don't seem to fit really right with the dwarves. It doesn't look right. So I know, this is one that Anthony wanted to try to put something different together. Wanted to, initially I think he was talking about the saddle because he tried it was the McFarlane saddle that came on that horse that they made. He tried that one, and then he was talking about doing the faceplate, and then he came up with this whole kit here that you've got seeing in front of you. And I know he just finished painting that up this week, and I think it just looks phenomenal. I think if you really want to put one of these D20 boars with your dwarves, this look here is fantastic, and I would definitely highly recommend it for anybody interested.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So 5 different pieces for that set. And there's also, I'm not exactly sure what all the pieces are, but there is a boar rider kit for your dwarf to customize. I'm assuming, I believe, was it the pauldrons, the helmet, and Anthony, I'm not sure what else. I should have looked at my notes. Or
Yeah, I'm
made
not sure
notes.
about I'm sure he'll answer for the figure. For the boar, you've got the saddle, you've got the face mask, you've got the part with the mane, and then 2 separate stirrups. And then all of that, like you see here, he's got some like leather straps that he's using for the handle or for the reins, and then he also is using it for to hold on that saddle there. So those are the 5 pieces for the boar. Not sure about on the dwarf. I hadn't really talked to him too much on that. It looks like helmet, chest plate.
Helmet and
is
chest
what's
plate
on there for the rider.
Okay.
So.
Oh yeah, that's awesome, man.
So that's like the Krotos or Bardric style torso with the new plate. And
Yeah,
I think, that's it.
I'm just gonna grab my board real quick. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, that looks amazing. I feel like, because I feel like dwarves, I always associate them more with the boars than the wolves, you know, the wargs. And I feel like, yeah, that's getting a bunch of those boars with those kits with some dwarfs on. Oh yeah.
So I don't know if you can embiggen me there, Jesse.
Yep. Let me is it that one? No, not me.
There we go. So that's what it looks like, the armored version of the D20 boar. And like I said, it does look cool. But it's just that bone look, in my opinion, doesn't fit real well with the dwarves. So I am really excited about getting some of this armor off of him and getting that new kit from Anthony on him for sure.
I think the bone look gives it more of a barbaric, you know, cannibalistic tribe vibe, you know.
Yeah, like the wolf that I got from D20, it also has the bone armor, but I've got it with my orcs, and for me that fits well. Like it makes sense for that bone armor to be with the orcs. With the dwarves, I do expect something more leather and metal and armored look. So yeah, I think that what he came up with is really cool.
Yeah. So they're not available yet. Well, the pauldrons are. He said the pauldrons are in stock now, but the chest plate and the I already lost it. Helmet are new for the dwarf, and then the 5 pieces for the boar. So they'll be coming soon. So watch the Toy Forge stuff for your updates on that. But so thank you, Anthony, for letting us share those with everybody tonight, and thanks for being here to see him debut.
Well, and for thinking outside the box, because that's not, you know, it's different than just a new head for a Mythic Legion figure or something, but actually creating an armor kit for a mount from another line to make it work well with Legions. That's really thinking outside the box. So appreciate it.
Oh yeah, that's wicked. And I just, one of the coolest things, apart from obviously seeing you guys and meeting all the awesome like Mythic Legions community in person, is just I can see myself just sort of fishing around the Legions Con. Just I'm mainly going to be going for like custom heads and like parts and stuff. Like, you know, I might pick up a few Legion builders, but for the most part, it's just going to be looking for the custom stuff that you guys have got there, you know, and just seeing the galleries, like the endless galleries of different characters that people have assembled, you know.
It's one of those things where I think you could spend the entire weekend walking around Legions Con, and every time that you walk around, you would see something new. Like it's just, there's that much stuff, you know? So it's, you know, it's one of those things where a lot of time I've gone to some local like toy shows in this area and stuff. And typically you go and you pay your, you know, $10 or whatever it is to get in the door, and they give you the little wristband, and you go through and you make a pass and then you leave. And with Legions Con, it's completely different. Nobody ever leaves. Like you stay all day Saturday, you stay all day Sunday, and even after all of that, there's still stuff that you'll see for the first time as you're walking around on your last pass on Sunday. So yeah, just a lot of cool stuff for sure.
or in pictures after you get home.
Yeah,
You
that's
know, if
true.
you're on your flight or whatever, you'll be like, "Oh man, where was that? I never saw that."
Yeah.
Because you guys have got tables too, right? So I guess
Yep.
it's even you're kind of a bit more restricted with walking around unless you swap with someone or someone takes over for you.
It makes it difficult, that's for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
But then you're talking with so many people coming by. So I never, other than getting to see what people had at their table, I don't, feel like I missed out on any interactions with people because it was just, you're hanging out all day, you know, in on the floor, and it ends at what, like 3 on Saturday and 4 on Sunday or something like that. So like, and then you had the evenings to hang out in the lobby and everything. So it's just, it's just like
yeah.
hanging out in the cabal, except it's in person instead of on the screen.
But it's
Yeah.
really like nonstop the whole weekend, because even when the show's not going on, when the main gallery's not open, you still have all this camaraderie and hanging around and talking with one another and going out to eat. And, you know, it's just an entire weekend full of just hanging around really cool people. So,
Oh, yeah. Did anyone with your tables and your customs, did anyone pull out any figures and say, can my figure take a picture next to yours?
no, I didn't have that. I don't know about you, Jesse, but I had that.
I don't think I had anybody want to put any figures in with mine. I know people were definitely taking pictures of like the Dio and stuff, but
I know a lot of people were doing that with Brian Almeida's, because he had this big Coliseum diorama that he built, and he even put out beforehand, like, if you want to, you know, take pictures with your figures in my diorama, you know, just let me know and come by. And so there were people, like, because he was right across from where I was sitting at the Wolf King table. And yeah, there were people going to his all day and putting figures in there and doing stuff. But I think for the most part, people are just kind of looking around and just seeing what's available, because it is, you know, there's definitely a lot of stuff for sale, but it's kind of like an art show too.
Of course. Yeah.
Got some feedback there. So yeah, it's just, there's a lot of cool stuff to see for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just from the videos I've seen and from the pictures, I was just like, I have to get myself there, you know, because, and I'll be doing that with you guys. I'll be wanting to take, I'll have like figures. I want to take pictures of your figures, and you know, so they can actually meet.
do it. Yeah, that's awesome.
You guys got some customs that I definitely want to see in person for
That's
sure.
Cool.
You know what I mean? But yeah, that's beautiful. And I see that the lobby is kind of, it becomes like a rock and roll concert in the lobby. Like people are having a really good time. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it
is really cool, because you know, especially like we were saying before with people like Emil and Thomas and like John Caulfield and some of the other guys from the UK that were there, and you know, just people from other parts of the country here. It was just really cool just to like have that FaceTime with them, even if it was just a couple minutes. You know, it was just really cool, and like everybody felt so like genuine and sincere, and you know, it's such a great time. You're gonna have an absolute blast.
Man, I'm excited, man, because I'll probably come like maybe a couple of days before the actual event, because maybe I might go to like New York or something for like a couple of days, and then come afterwards, or do it afterwards, something like that. But yeah, because it's such a way to travel, I feel like I've got to stay for at least a few more days.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you may as well maximize it. And I would definitely put in for the intern for a day, because if you can get in for that, that's definitely worth it. That was another one of those really great experiences that I think anybody that is in the Mythic Legion community should experience at least once. So
have you guys got like signed like a really deep contract in blood or something to say that you don't blab any of the secrets?
No.
I mean, they pretty much just asked us to not, if we saw anything on Thursday at intern, to not share anything, because it was going to be revealed. Like we got to see the Kurzak statue.
The two kind of things that we saw that we were quote unquote sworn to secrecy about. One was the Kurzak statue we got to see before it was actually put in the lobby and everybody saw it. And then the second part was when we were with Nate Barch, we got to see kind of a first shot look at the Cosmic box art, which now is out there for everybody. So, you know, we're not breaking any secrets by telling that. So we did get a firsthand glance at those couple things. But yeah, it was just really cool to just hang out with the folks of the studio and get to hear their stories and how they started there. And what they like about their job. And, I know I spent quite a bit of time with Camera where he was just giving us painting tips that, things that they do. And it's like, I mean, you're getting that from a guy that paints for the studio. It's like, you can't get any better than that. And then just,
it's just so organic, isn't it? The community, the way it's grown and the way that everyone just interacts, and it's like it can never been planned, could it? You know what I mean? It's just, it's just is what it is. So that's great to hear.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome how they have all that together, because then they got like little stations and stuff, and then you get to spend a little time with Nate and some time with Trevor, and he's showing you like how he sets up his photography and stuff. It's like, I can't imagine like a Hasbro or a Mattel like bringing folks in and going, here's our photographer and how he takes pictures, and here's our painter and this is how they paint, and here's our sculptor and this is how they sculpt. It's just like a peek behind the curtain that I think is so unique for this community compared to other communities. And if you get an opportunity to do it, I would encourage anybody to put in for it, because it's really awesome.
100%.
How does it work, guys? Do you buy a ticket, and then once you bought a ticket, you put in for the intern?
No, I think it was an email, right? Or a survey or something?
Well, there's a lottery now.
Right.
It used to be they just kind of opened it, like the one of them. I think the first couple were involved with Kickstarters, so it was like a level that you paid for on the Kickstarter, and you just got to do it. But then the interest got so high that now this past year they did a lottery. So you'll see that like Jeremy will announce it in the Cabal, and he'll usually talk about it on his show and say, hey, the lottery is open if you're interested for intern. Here's what you do, and you just follow those instructions.
Yep.
And then they randomly pull people's names, and if you get pulled, then you have an opportunity to go. Now, if something happens and you can't make it, then they'll go to like the next person on the list. But if you put in for it and your name gets drawn, definitely worth the time for sure.
And I don't know if it'll be the same. I don't want to promise price, but like it is a paid to admission, so it's not just like a free you get to go.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you'll get to be there for intern for a day, the whole day, and then G-Con the next day. So you get to be in there on the live reveal. At least that's what they did this year. It sounds like that's going to be the plan.
It was $300 for the intern, but then you get to bring a guest with you. So like if you split that with somebody, like for instance, this past year, me and Billy Beige, we both put in for an intern for a day, and whoever got it was going to take the other one as their guest. So his name didn't get drawn, mine did. So it's $300. So I paid $150, he paid $150. We both get in and get to do it. So now that's not to say that the price is going to be the same, but that's how it was this year. So
I understand. Yeah. And for me, I'm starting to look at things as, if you look at the pattern in terms of how they're releasing the goblins, because that piece of art where you see the 3 goblins at the side, and then we've had the pug inspired Legion builder, and of course we've had Swig, but there's that third one. I'm not attempting to get any secrets out of you guys. I'm just saying
they didn't tell us about anything like that, but I tell you what though, there's some stuff that you'll see at the studio that'll just blow your mind, like mock-ups and 2-ups and things from like Gothatropolis or Seventh Kingdom. Like they've got some stuff just around the studio that just walking around, like the wall of mythics, where you've got like basically every figure created on one wall, and there's some stuff that you'll see that's really unique. But then more than that for me was just the people, like talking to them and getting some inside information on how they do what they do. Hearing from Trevor, the best ways to set up a shot and get lighting right is priceless. Like, there's no amount of money you can put on getting that information. Seeing Treadway like take a ball of clay on put it on the computer, and then all of a sudden, by the time we leave within a 1-hour session or 2-hour sessions, he's got like a complete character created.
And he did that 4 times.
Yeah,
4 new heads that day.
He's just freestyling basically.
Yeah. And some of that stuff that he did in one of the interns a while back ended up in part of one of those heads, became one of the Cosmic Legion heads.
Oh wow!
Yep.
So you never know if you're seeing the creation of something that might be come down, and then you could be like, "Oh, I was in that room when he."
Right.
I suggested the eye color or something. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
To be a part
And
of the
that was, I don't know if he talked about it during yours, Jessica's like in our session with him while he was sculpting, I was just bombarding him with questions. Like the first question was, "Is it okay to ask questions?" And then once he said yes, I was like, "Do." So like he was actually showing where he will put like color rendering on the sculpt that he does before he sends it off to the painters and say like this is kind of his idea of what it should look like. But then once it gets to like Cameron or Sherry, they have the ability to change that up. And if they feel like something will work differently, they have the creative license to kind of, try some new things. So I just thought that was just a really cool environment that it's like, you've got this guy that's the head guy making the product that he's envisioning how this is supposed to look, but yet he trusts his painters enough to know that if they really think that something will look cool a different way, have at it, and let's see what you come up with. So I just thought that it sounded like from everybody that it's just a really good environment for creativity. So,
and hearing that, I heard that story the other day, fellas. Where there was a smudge on Torgen's nose. Like, you hear that story the other day? Like, there was like a mistake, right, at the factory where there was a bit of dirt on his nose, and then they liked it so much that they just like left it. And that's why. Did you hear that? You guys heard that?
I didn't hear that.
I don't think I heard the whole thing. But yeah, that's awesome.
Right, and then you think back, you're like, oh yeah, there is a bit of dirt on his nose. Like there's like a little tiny bit of like dirt. I don't know if you got one to hand anywhere, but yeah, there's like a little bit of like a smudgy sort of charcoal bit of dirt. And apparently that was an accident, and they just kind of left it because
that's awesome. I'll have to look at mine after this.
Happy little accident. I don't have a Torgen yet, so hopefully they'll do a version 2 or something, or re-release them.
What's funny about Torgen is that when I first got into Mythics, it was the only bare chest around that was available. Like you could get it on Big Bad Toy Store. There was a couple other retailers that still had it. I bought 3 Torgens that I completely tore apart just so I had the bare chest to use on some barbarians. And then I was seeing when Tomas was going to the hospital with his son and he was bringing the Torgen everywhere. I'm like, man, Torgen by itself is a really cool figure. Now I have to go get one. And at this point, it's no longer for sale. So I had to go and get eBay prices for a Torgen just so I could have one in my collection. Because the 3 that I had, I tore to pieces. So
I've been getting ideas, but like the old WWE figures made by Jax.
Mm-hmm.
I look at them torsos sometimes and I get ideas, but then, because there's just the Mythic Legions figures are so highly detailed that some toy lines just, you'll have to either do so much work or they just won't quite go because they're so much more detailed.
That's where the soft goods come in handy.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cover up those other lines and throw some other Legions accessories on them to make them blend in.
Oh yeah. And I've been seeing Dan's been showing a lot of those, those arms. Like all those goblin.
Yeah.
Right?
The swoosh ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've been feeling like it's time to order like a bunch of those.
Yeah, see, I ordered some of those. I just don't know. I guess I'll have to. I asked him some questions on it, but it just seems to me that if you paint those, because it's a double jointed arm, it seems to me that there would be a lot of parts where that paint's going to come off. So I've always been scared, of painting those a different color, but I don't know. Maybe I just got to go for it. I don't know if he takes it all apart and gets inside the joints, or I don't know.
There might be a lot of topping up. Sometimes you probably paint something and you'd be like, I'm gonna have to top this up every once in a while. Parts are gonna need it.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah,
it would be nice to get some more like bare arms for like a 2.0. That would be cool.
And I've got
like something that doesn't look like. I mean, they've got like the female bare arms, but like more of like a muscular, but a 2.0 version of a bare arm would be nice.
Yeah, I've got like all this material as well, like basically to make like capes and stuff. Like and I'm kind of like fading into the distance, but yeah, just like loads of this material to start making like proper cloaks and all that sort of stuff, So there's all kinds of stuff. But yeah, the bare arms, I would love that. And did you guys speak to the Four Horsemen or anyone at the studio about them making? They probably talked about it before, but I might have missed it, about them making like more animals as well. Is that something that they plan to do in the future?
I don't know. I know that they've been doing some mounts. I know with Belualith, you got quite a few creatures. Now they're skeleton creatures, but it does feel like they're starting to do some more of that stuff that's not quite just a figure. You know, there's some mounts, there's some little accoutrement, you know, with it. So I wouldn't put it past it, but I haven't heard anything specifically saying, hey, we're going to get, you know, dogs or whatever. So I don't know. Jesse?
Yeah, we've got. I feel like I've heard the vague affirmations where it's like, oh yeah, those things exist in the world.
Right.
Or yeah, we'd love to do that eventually. You know, just the timing and you know, I feel like they've gotten the horses pretty solid. I don't know what else they could do to a horse, other than like a Pegasus or like alternate heads, or maybe make them a little bit smaller. You know, like scale down a little bit, but.
I would be perfectly fine if we didn't get another horse for at least 2 or 3 more waves.
Well, I just meant like
yeah.
I just mean like tooling wise, like
Right,
you know, they've got the horses pretty nailed down. So, you know, if they could figure out a body type to like do a bear or something like that, but then be able to reuse those parts somewhere else. But again, with what they did on the Necronominus wave and how they really blew the design aspect of those out of the water, you know, there might be some like recovery lines where it's more basic reuse stuff, and then you know some really cool stuff. Again, just guessing. But,
well, and I'm interested to see. You know, we've talked about this before with the Necronominus wave, that it kind of feels like, and Cornboy even kind of confirmed that they really just took the tooling budget and threw it out the window, and just said, you know, hey, we're going to make an awesome wave. And whatever it costs to make the tooling, that's what it costs. I'm interested to see how that works as they move forward. Like, are we gonna, because we saw, you know, the new chest plates and all that kind of stuff with Alithia. We saw some new things with Poxus with the brute scale. You know, then with the Necronominus, we got just all these different bone parts and the bone horse and all this kind of stuff. So I'm interested to see as we go through. I mean, obviously the main wave that's announced at GCon, I'm sure we'll have some new tooling, but these other ones in between, I'm interested to see what kind of other stuff we see with those, whether it's an all-stars or you know, different things like that. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, because it sounds like all stars is going to be like going forward. It's out, the way I understand it is it's going to be a couple reissues, and then some all new, not necessarily all new parts, but new characters in the all stars going forward.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they have a few more tricks up their sleeve too. So
well, of course,
I don't, you know, just like it's like once you feel like you understand what all stars is going to look like, they change it up a little bit. So
they learned the zigzag.
Yeah. So I would expect the unexpected.
Yeah. No, I love it. And that's I feel like with the, like, anyone that is a fan of the skeletons, I mean, is just gonna love this latest wave because there's so much skelly love. You know, I don't know. I'm waiting for the goblin and dwarf love. You know what I mean? I know we've got a little bit with Swig. You know what I mean? But the dwarves, I think there is a clambering. There is like a really big desire for more dwarves. You know, but yeah, I guess when the time is right, that's gonna be.
I feel like Jeremy gave some sort of hint during one of his Mythic conversations recently that there is something coming in All Stars that you're going to want more of the tuberculi for. It felt like it was being very, or maybe I'm misremembering it, Curtis. I don't know if like.
No, I think he told me specifically in the chat. I asked about the tuberculi, and he said, you're going to want more than one. He said he said something to the effect of, you know, remember, we know what things are coming down the road, and trust me, you're going to want more than one. So,
but I feel like it was something that was heavily suggesting dwarf.
Possibly.
Maybe I'm misremembering that, but I feel like there's something dwarf related coming in All Stars.
I mean, listen, I mean, I'm an orc fan, and we did get Vorthog in the Arethyr wave. So we haven't waited for a named orc as long as you guys have waited for named dwarves. You know, those dwarf folks that I see in chat. But I would definitely like to see some more orcs for sure. You know, anything I'd take, but specifically shadow orcs, I would love to see. And I know, Jeremy's kind of hinted at that may be an option here in the near future. I would love to see some shadow orcs for sure.
Wicked.
Well, Tharnog's coming too.
Yeah, but it's a brute scale and he's heroic, and that's great. I'll take it. And I did buy a bunch because I'm going to make some evil orcs out of that as well. Yeah,
I need a bunch of him.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that there would be, instead of like with the deluxe Legion builder, they did 2 human ones. They did the barbarian and did the gladiator. I wish one of those would have been an orc. Like you did a goblin, you did a dwarf, you did a this and that. Like instead of doing 2 humans, you could have done one of those as an orc.
But they're coming, aren't they? There is like a female orc and a male orc cut, right? They're coming.
Let's not talk about tactics. That's a sore spot for Curtis.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. Like, because the last time that I had an opportunity to order orcs was on the reinforcements wave, and I didn't because it was like, oh, well, I already have these tactics ones that'll be here anytime now.
Oh, I see.
Well, now reinforcements is a year ago, and it's come and gone a long time, and still no tactics. And then every time I ask about tactics, it's like, oh, it's on its way. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I was confused because being new to the community, I was confused about that myself because I saw them and I was like, when are they coming? It was a bit I didn't understand what's going on. But
Well, it's like they did the original Kickstarter for it. And so, people like myself, that was the first wave I got into. And I was like, I ordered all these orcs and a few elves. And then, long time later, they bring out and they're doing the other Kickstarter for the game where it's more like for everybody. And then they show the Gorgo and the Attila. And it's like, oh, and we're going to sell more of these orcs and elves. But it's not like and then the clock reset. It's not like the folks that put in the original order for the orcs and elves, it's not like we got ours and now they're going to solicit new ones. It's like, we're just going to combine those and you'll get them whenever you get them. So,
push to the back of the queue a little bit.
Yeah. It's kind of like the bastard stepchild of Mythic Legion waves.
It's on the water and it's going to the West Coast, I believe.
We'll see. I'll believe it when I've got them in hand.
So I don't. The studio's not handling the shipping on that. The game people are,
and that's why I will believe it when I got them in hand.
So,
yeah, I'm tempted to get. I want to get like about 5 to 6 Sir Elijahs so I can army build a little bit. Make a squad because I do love. Yeah, I do love. I know you've ordered 1 or 2 of those, right?
Yeah, 1 or 11. Yeah.
Okay. Because I love the bodies, and I know it's hard to get the Templar Knights now, isn't it? It's not easy to get those, And it's weird. I find that with a lot of even with Gears of War, the COG soldiers in the Gears of War, the standard soldiers with no names, they end up being some of the most expensive ones, And it's the same with so many lines. I imagine it might be the same with GI Joe, some of the old Cobra figures as well. It's like the soldiers seem to always, you think the named characters would be more expensive and more stuff. But
you only need one main character. Everybody that gets those, they want an army build. So
yeah, I know some people that collect Star Wars that all they collect are stormtroopers, and that's it. So yeah, you got to have an army of those guys for sure.
Yeah.
So
Joe, don't quote me on that. That's not official studio news. That is just my understanding of the process. Is
Joe wants to know
the tactics game facility, I believe, is on the West Coast, like Oregon or Washington or something. I could be wrong. But my understanding is they're coming there, and then once everything's there, they'll get it all shipped out from there. I just know the studio is not handling the shipping on the tactics figures.
Here's what I would do, Joe. Do like me. Forget about tactics. Put it out of your mind. Don't even think about it. One day they'll show up, and you'll go, "Oh yeah, I forgot all about this," and then it'll be a pleasant surprise.
Guys, you know what? I thought I was making some traction with the number of goblins that I started to accumulate, and then I think was it River the other day who said he had 87 goblins.
Whoa.
Something like that. It was I think it was 87 or 67. It was a high number, and I was like, wow, I'm literally I'm not even halfway to that many. Have you guys what's the most you've got of a particular species or group or something?
You got yours, Jesse?
This is an army building at its finest, you know.
I probably have more counting named characters. I probably have more skeletons than any. Goblins would be maybe close, but I don't know how many of each at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I first got into Legions, one of the figures that was available on Big Bad Toy Store that I went crazy for was the Fury Orc. And based on that, I would say I have more orcs than anything. Like I went batshit crazy on Fury Orcs. So I've got in my DTOFs, I've got like 4 squares. So basically one full DTOF just full of Fury clan orcs.
Oh yeah.
And that's not including the green ones, the purple ones, and all the other colors that I've got. So I would say orcs for sure. And then skeletons would probably be second because I've done quite a few customs with skeletons.
Oh yeah, wicked. I'm actually quite hesitant to get like one skeleton because I feel like at the moment it's just goblins and the dwarves. But I feel like the moment I get a skeleton, I know I'm gonna
Elijah.
Yes, that's true.
Those are the days. I remember when I got it, like, so I went and got the stuff on Big Bad Toy Store, which they had a Vateris, they had the vampires, and they had the orcs, the Fury clan, and that was it. That's what was available on Big Bad Toy Store when I got into the line.
Yeah.
So I got them, and I'm like, okay. Like, after I got the vampires that they had from Alithia, I pre-ordered those on Big Bad Toy Store, and then I got Lord Dracul, and I'm like, I went and paid for a Carpathius and a Vorgus Vermilius, and I'm like, because then I got all the vampires. I'm like, I'm just gonna do the vampires and orcs. and then I got a skeleton, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll just do the vampires, orcs, and skeletons. And then I got some of the barbarians, but I'm definitely not doing dwarves. And then I got a couple dwarves, and it's just like as soon as you open that door, it's game over, man.
Yeah.
So every one of them's just so good. There's not one of them that you're like you can just stay away from. At least not me. I can't stay away from any of them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's with the goblins as well. Like I look at at one point I thought about, okay, so I've made a few characters that have got some sort of status, you know, like some generals and you know, and then I thought, now I'm only just going to get Legion builders and I'm going to keep them pretty much the same. But then I'll be looking at a Legion builder and I'll just be like, that could do with a bit of paint, you know, that could do with a bit of customization. And then before I know it, I've hardly got any like standard soldiers. Do you know what I mean? So like, I've got to make each one of them kind of unique. I can't help it. You know what I mean? So yeah. But I feel like I will definitely be stocking up on Legion builders when I come to Legions Con because I feel like it's just a great opportunity. Even before I get to Legions Con, I might just, if you guys can recommend like any shops to go to, because I know you do have these. It seems a bit, I don't know. It seems it might be a bit premature to go to those shops before Legions Con. Like I should just save up.
I would definitely save up. I would recommend saving a bulk of your money for Legions Con. Maybe get some things here and there, just because at the table, again, prices might be different by the time we get to the tables in November. But it's other than when they go live on pre-order, it's the best price you're going to get, unless you happen to find someone on a ridiculous sale somewhere because they don't know what they have. You know, not from an official retailer. You know.
I totally get what you were saying about. You know, you're traveling all the way out here anyways. You may as well make the most of the trip. But if I was you, what I would do is plan for the Legions Con first and then do your other stuff after. You know, like, so if you're going to go to New York or you're going to do whatever, I would plan for that the few days after Legions Con rather than before Legions Con.
Oh yeah, I'll probably spend all my money at Legions Con and have to get an early flight.
You don't want to leave yourself too tired or too low on funds when it comes to Legions Con. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, did you guys find that a lot of people that the money they make from the tables they're just going to spend anyway?
Yeah.
I can imagine that.
Like there was one point where I actually got to break away from the Wolf King table and kind of walk around the room, and I came back and Len's like, oh, you just sold a figure. And I was like, what figure did I sell? And he showed me, he's like, that one there for 150. I'm like, well, who bought it? And he goes, Eric LeBron. I'm like, great, because I just saw one over at his table for 150. I'm gonna go give him his money back and take that figure.
It's the same price as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah,
I mean, we could have just exchanged figures, but no, he bought mine, and then I turned around and gave him his money right back.
yeah. Like I'm gonna make
Uh,
sure that I have like a decent amount because it's so hard to put a price on art. You know what I mean? Because
Yep.
I'd be like whatever price they want for it, really, like in my mind, because it's art. Like it's the labor, it's the imagination, it's the creativity. We can't just be like tooling costs. Do you know what I mean? Because of what the thought process that's gone into it. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be buying loads of heads though for sure. Like I think
Well,
heads is the thing.
and I think part of it, what I saw a lot of, and I know I myself, but I saw from other people too, is that some folks want to just have a piece from a friend in their collection. Like I went to Jesse's table to buy something from Jesse because I wanted a piece that he had done in my collection. Or I went to Noah Pratt and I wanted to get something that he had done, and I want, same thing with a meal and that kind of thing. So I think there's a lot of that too, where it's just like you've made these connections throughout the community, and you'd want to have something from that person's, art in your collection.
Of course, yeah. No, I mean, guys, I'm convinced I'm going to take out a loan before I come to meet you.
Yeah.
There's so many people I want to buy something from. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
including you guys. Like, I'll just, yeah. I think heads though, and I had to like remind myself that when I'm doing certain setups, I can take a head off. Like, I can use the same bodies for different heads depending on what setup I'm doing. Like, I only realized that recently. I was like, I don't need a body for each head. Like, they can share bodies. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah. That's what I've been thinking. But I know the thistle. Is it Thistlehorn, Jesse? That's your favorite?
Yes.
Thistlehorn. Yeah. With the fuzz monks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the forest, the woodland goblins.
Yeah.
Nice. Got the shirt and everything representing.
I love it. Yeah. I guys, I mean, who knows? I might end up turning up in full like medieval outfit. You know what I mean?
Do it.
Like,
Well, be careful because this year it was really warm, and Dwayne, who was on a couple weeks ago, and he's in the chat, Destination Stone, he showed up with like a full metal,
like Viking
helmet.
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah,
and awesome. He pulled that thing off at one point, and I was like, "Are you okay in there?" He's like,
there was a guy with like a snack hat on too, right? Like he had like a
snack.
Who was that?
I don't remember his name, but I did see him.
Yeah, I thought that's going to be awfully warm in that hat.
Oh, I'm trying to blank on his name. Yeah, he was cool.
I feel kind of bad because like Jesse's got his Thistlethorn shirt, you got an orc shirt on, and I just got this stupid Thor Love and Thunder.
But Thor
segment, it wasn't even that great.
Well, they could visit Mythos,
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, is there any movies you're looking forward to seeing that are coming out very soon, apart from the Flash one that you mentioned?
Yeah, I just saw that Flash trailer tonight. That looked pretty good, and obviously Ant-Man is coming out this Friday, right?
Yep. I'll be seeing it Thursday night at the IMAX.
I have done a very good job of staying away from all trailers for that. I have not watched anything. I saw the initial teaser, but no trailers for it. So I'm going in completely fresh. Have not read anything, so I'm just hoping to stay spoiler free until next weekend.
Oh yeah, because these trailers these days, I think it's obviously it's like Captain Obvious right now, but I mean, I feel like it's always like a short version of the whole film these days. Like trailers, like they show you the whole film, they show you the twists, the turns, the ending. You know what I mean? I kind of wish all the trailers could be like the original Matrix trailer, where you just didn't even know what was going on, but it looked cool.
Well, and then if you watch a trailer, and then all of a sudden like another YouTube page will come up, and then another, and you fall down this rabbit hole. And next thing you know, you're on one that tells you like the whole script of the movie. It's like,
yeah.
So you just got to be careful. But those are the two that I would say probably for me that I'm thinking of. But I don't know, Jesse, you got anything that you're looking forward to?
Yeah. I think the thing I'm most looking forward to this year. I don't think it's coming out this year, is it? No, I think it's filming. Dune 2, the second half of Dune. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, I was impressed with the first. I never saw the original Dune. I still haven't. But
it's very different.
Yeah, but the movie that I saw that was just out of the theaters this past year, I really enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, me too. It took its time, and I feel like it's rare now for these new big Hollywood blockbusters. They don't, they feel like the attention span isn't isn't there for the audience, so they kind of rush through it. I like slow paced, and it kind of allowed you to immerse yourself in that world because it didn't rush to get to where it was going.
That's a really good way to describe it for sure, because I did feel like while it was going on, it wasn't like here's me sitting in a theater. Like I felt like I was in that world. So for sure.
Sure. Yeah, the original Dune, as Jesse will probably say as well, is very very different from this one.
Yeah, it's interesting because you get to hear a lot of their internal thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's 11:30. My lights just went off over there.
That's Jesse telling us we got to get out of his house.
No.
I mean, it's only 4:20 here, guys.
Is you get a lot of their internal thoughts. Like you hear like just kind of these whispering monologues that like is just their thoughts, which is weird, but it's really good. But there's no way to really do that well in a movie. It was 80s, so there's some janky special effects, but at the same time, there's some really amazing special effects in it for the time. And I wouldn't watch that.
Kevin says November 2023.
Oh,
so
it is this year. Okay.
So
beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'll probably be seeing that, either right before or right after Legion's Con, depending when it comes out. But the original one's it's good, but if you liked the new one, Curtis, I would wait on watching the 80s one until after, so you don't spoil what's coming.
Oh yeah, especially if you don't know what's happening, because Jesse, they crammed. It's basically like they crammed all of it into one movie before, didn't they?
Yeah, we basically have a little less than half of the book left, I think. For where where they ended the first movie. But in the original movie, like it's like the last, like just barely over a quarter of the movie tells the next chunk, and I think there's some of the most exciting stuff in that chunk. So
I mean, Sting, I really like Sting in it as well, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sting plays quite a cool character in the original, and he stood out, like his performance and his look. Right, he's got a very quirky vibe going on there with his character. So it's gonna be cool.
So Ant-Man, Guardians.
Oh yeah.
I'm holding my breath on Indy 5 just because 4 was so messy. Yeah. I'm kind of excited for Dungeons and Dragons, and trying to monitor my expectations or mediate my expectations.
Yeah.
And what's the other one? Shazam.
I just got to pop in just to say that for me, The Last Crusade is the only Indiana Jones. Like I really don't like Temple of Doom. The first one's okay, but Last Crusade to me is like the Indiana Jones. Like that's.
I love all the original 3. I'm a fan of the trilogy. That's for me. They're the ones that exist. And
Temple of Doom creeped me out. The whole ripping the heart out and all that kind of stuff. Like as a kid, like it just that creeped me out.
It was quite horrific. I mean, I feel like. Do you guys know that originally Tom Selleck was wanted for that role?
Mm-hmm. Oh no, I did not.
Right? Yep. And I thought, wow, wouldn't that have been interesting instead of Harrison Ford? But I think he turned it down, didn't he? He didn't do it.
I believe that's the case, because isn't that when he did Magnum PI?
Oh well, that worked out well for him.
Wow. I mean, there was a few seasons of that, I guess.
Yeah,
he did well.
But guys, I want Tom Selleck to stop playing around and play Commissioner Gordon in Batman.
Yeah.
He's been practicing on Blue Bloods for the last 12 years.
Yeah.
I can do that.
He's like a perfect Commissioner Gordon,
I really like
Jeffrey Wright?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
I thought he did great in the Batman.
Dude, I remember bumping into him on set, right? I bump into Jeffrey Wright, and he's got like the toupee thing on, and I'm like, he walked straight past me, and he stared at me, and he nodded his head, and I was like, Jeffrey. And my mind was like, that's Jeffrey Wright, and then I shook his hand. I was like, oh, nice to meet you, man. And then we kind of parted ways. I was like, that's Jeffrey Wright, man. It was really, really cool.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
He's a good dude, man. Yeah, I was on it. I worked on it for a few months on that Batman film.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Trevor says, and then he did Quigley Down Under. Yeah, well, he also did Mr. Baseball. That's one of my favorite movies. I like Mr. Baseball.
I've seen that one. Yeah, but Magnum PI was cool, man. Did you guys ever see the crossover with Jessica Fletcher in Murder, She Wrote?
I don't think I saw that.
I don't know if I saw that one. My mom loved Murder, She Wrote, and my oldest brother loved Magnum PI.
Oh, it's cool, man. They did a crossover where Jessica Fletcher had to like help him with a case.
That's awesome.
Yeah, right. You guys got to find it, man. It was kind of like what?
That must have been like a sweeps week or something.
It was cool, man. It was cool. I was like, the A-Team are gonna have to turn up soon and make it like a good, a massive mix, you know.
I would love to see the A-Team with Murder, She Wrote. That would be. Or what was the one with her? She had they had a character show up in her show a couple times, and then he had his own show, the Father Dowling Mysteries, where the dad from Happy Days was the priest that was doing mysteries.
Mr. Cunningham.
Yeah. I don't know though. I've got every episode of the A-Team under my bed though, like a box set.
Nice.
Yeah, I love Mr. T. I love all of those guys. Did you guys watch the remake with the movie that they done?
Yeah, it was
with
okay.
Bradley Cooper in that.
Yeah, it was alright.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, Dirk Benedict and the guy who plays Murdoch, the face of Murdoch. They appeared in that movie, didn't they? They made cameos.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
They did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you put Sharlto Copley in something, I'm watching it. I love that guy. He's
dope, man. I mean, we're still waiting for the sequel for District 9. We've been talking about that for years, but I don't know if that'll happen.
See, I'm like that with Cavill. Like, I love The Witcher, love the Superman. I mean, I didn't love the script for it, but I'll watch him do anything. So, like, this Warhammer that he's working on now, I don't know crap about Warhammer. I know absolutely zero about Warhammer, but I'm like, I'm in, whatever. Like,
guys, you want to talk about Warhammer? You just let me know, man. I mean,
yeah, you're a Warhammer guy.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I'm not like a super fan. Like I like them. I love the paints. The paints are great, by the way. You guys might even use the paints for Warhammer because they're amazing paints. But when they started doing the like action figures, McFarlane got the license, started doing these Space Marines and whatnot in like 6-7 inch scale with the orcs and whatnot. That's when I was really on it because I didn't want to paint these little miniatures. I was just like, this is, you know, painting's tricky enough, but the miniatures, you know, it's like a whole different ball game. But the Warhammer guys, I mean, the Warhammer universe it's like 20 times bigger than the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, it's like I have never played Warhammer. I've never done anything with it. But like when I heard the announcement that Cavill was doing that, I watched like this hour-long video about the Warhammer universe.
Oh yeah.
I didn't realize how vast it was. Like it's crazy, and the amount of like literature that goes with it and stuff.
Oh yeah, it's enormous. I mean, that's what I was saying. It's like Star Wars times 20, times 50 even, because you've got so many different races, so many different factions, and it's huge. Like it's ridiculous. Like how big Warhammer is.
What I did love, one of the things that I saw with it is these like space orcs that are like incorporate technology like prosthetics and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, you know, basically like if you think Trap Jaw but with orcs, I'm like, yeah. So like, you know, as soon as I heard that, I'm like, I'm gonna start mixing in some orcs with my cosmics and making some like half robot, half orc cosmic characters.
That's like, I was thinking about that too, because you know, with the because you've got all these different factions of orcs. You've got the pirate orcs as well. I can't help it. I've gone back to the pirates, but I'm saying with Cosmic Legions, they'll be perfect. You know, like to mix and match those pieces, and it's crazy. But the Warhammer universe, whatever you collect as well, you've got so many different races, so many different characters. It's kind of like, you know, like in Judge Dredd, for example, like Legacy 1, you've got like whole planets like that. You've got like there's just so much. It's endless. And Henry Cavill's a massive Warhammer fan, so he's gonna see it done right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like a fantastic consolation prize for what happened with him with Superman and what happened with him in The Witcher as well. You know, because he kind of left The Witcher to do Superman. Like, hey,
right.
I don't want you for Superman anymore. So yeah, he deserves this.
Well, it sounds like he was having some problems with the Witcher writers too. Like it you know, he was very committed to the literature and the stories behind it, and they wanted to kind of do their own thing. So they sound like there was kind of a breakdown there. But from what I'm reading, it sounds like with this Warhammer thing, he has a lot of creative control on how this is going down. So so that's good.
I'll be awesome. And guys, the technology is going to be crazy, because the Space Marines, which is like, they're the most popular Warhammer characters, like in terms of, they're like the poster boys for Warhammer. and they're like 8 feet, like 7 to 8 feet. They're massive, like they're like massive giants. You know what I mean? They've got like what is it? They've got like 3 hearts as well. It's so complex. Yeah, it's really just not.
That's cool.
Like that new character from the latest wave of Mythic Legions. You know that massive ogre character, like with the beautiful armor. I can't remember its name.
Oh, Sir Uksak.
So they're massive, like they're big like that. Basically, that's what it reminded me of. So it's just so complex Warhammer. And so watch some of the lore videos, and you guys will be big rabbit hole. You know what I mean? It's a big rabbit hole. So yeah. But guys, the movie I'm most looking forward to seeing is the new Puss in Boots movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I love the Shrek franchise and the new Puss in Boots movie. I love the first one, and so it's out now. So I've got to like get myself to the cinema.
I love that, like the way that I've seen or in my head, the way that the Puss in Boots movie came about. It's almost like they just looked at the Zorro movies and said, "We're going to continue doing these, but we're going to do them animated with a cat."
Oh, yeah.
But it's going to be the same movie
and the same actor.
In the same actor, same voice, same everything. We're just going to do these, but you're not going to be on screen. We're going to have animated cat, but other than that, it's just Zorro.
I
still love in what is it? Is it 2? Is it Shrek 2 where they meet Puss in Boots?
Yeah, Shrek 2. Yeah.
When they have like the cops sequence. And it's like knights, and like they show him like pulling him out of the wagon or whatever, and like they pull like the bag of catnip off Puss in Boots, and he's like, "That's not mine." That was just one of the funniest moments to me.
Oh, it's. But do you guys remember the Puss in Boots movie, that dance sequence between him and the female cat?
I never saw the first one.
Oh, you guys got to check it out. Oh, it's a good one, right? The first
it is. I wouldn't have put it up on my movies to watch for the year, but I will say that it is an enjoyable movie for sure.
Fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yes.
But I know you mean the same way that I feel like Red Sonja was meant to originally be Conan 3, King Conan. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with the Zorro movies. It's like they wanted to make a new Zorro movie, but let's just do it with Puss in Boots.
Right.
Different iteration. So,
I will definitely try to check those out then.
Sweet. Yeah, guys.
Cool. Well, I feel like we're pushing over 2.5 hours here. Elijah, thank you so much for hanging in here with us.
It's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you for having me on.
Well, and I have a little bit of housekeeping here before we close out the show. Now that we've spent a couple hours talking to you, I just want to let you know that kind of the reason why you're on the show tonight is that we heard your voice and your sweet accent. And Jesse just thought it'd be really good for ratings. We were competing against the Super Bowl, which here in America is kind of a big thing for some people. And Jesse's like, we need some flair. We need something that people are going to latch on to. They may tune in for a second, and then they hear this, and they're going to be like, I want to stick around for 2.5 more hours of this.
Oh, man. Americans, you guys have been doing that with us Brits for years. You know what I mean? We're kind of used to it now, man. We usually have to do American accents, though.
I didn't know this weekend was the Super Bowl until like last weekend. So, Curtis, you're giving me way too much credit to be that smart.
It's a big deal over there, right, guys? The Super Bowl. It's a bit of a big deal in the States.
For some people.
It's kind of a big deal because a lot of people watch it for the sport, and then a lot of people watch it for the commercials. So regardless of which one you watch it for, yeah, it's kind of a big deal.
It's the trailers, right? Like I know the big studios pay like millions just to sort of show.
Oh yeah, the amount that people pay for these commercials is ridiculous.
I don't know what I saw the first half of the game, and I don't know what commercial it was even promoting. But I watched it. I was like, someone paid millions of dollars for that, and I can't tell you anything about it.
Wow, man,
it was so bad.
It can't have the same pull that it used to have because obviously the internet. But I know it's still a big deal. So many people watch it.
I would say what you're seeing a lot of now is they'll run these small commercials and then they'll say like, hey, go here to this website to watch the full version or something. Mm-hmm. Like they did that with the Flash trailer. Like they showed a small teaser, but it said, go online to see the full trailer, And there was like one of the commercials that was like, they put up a QR code at the end of the commercial. They're like, scan this QR code to see more information. It's like, because we don't want to pay for another 2 minutes of advertising, but go here and we'll tell you all about it.
It makes sense. People traffic.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, no, it's been amazing to talk, man. I've seen every episode of this show, and I love that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've seen every episode, man. Like, love it. Love watching the show. So yeah, it's a privilege.
It's great to have you here, and I'm sure we'll do this again. If not leading up to after Legion's Con or something, we'll get you back on and
oh, it'd be amazing.
Just see how the rest of this year progresses for you. I mean, you're only a couple months in. I mean, it's
literally.
And again, just your enthusiasm and your just sheer joy in this, it has just been something that really stuck out to me. And so that's been really cool, and I wanted to have a chat with you. So
of course, man. Yeah, I look forward to meeting you guys in person as well. I'll definitely be coming to this year's Legion's Con. You know, it's kind of making me like, I want to enjoy every day, like, and like take my time, but at the same time I'm like, I want it to hurry up and come along, but that's like November, so let me just like forget about it for a second, you know, and then when it happens, it happens.
It'll be here before you know it.
Yep, that's for sure.
I'm ready, guys.
Well, we appreciate you, whether you're a night owl or a vampire or whatever it is that's keeping you up this time of night. We appreciate you making the time at this time of day for you to be with us. So appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Thank you, man. I trained myself well from getting the dates wrong, because I ended up just watching you Curtis, with Mr. Allen, and just talking.
That was a fun. Hopefully, you didn't have to stick around for my singing, because that was not very good.
I need to watch all of it. I only watched like half an hour of it. So did Mr. Allen get you singing? Is that what?
He got me singing at the end, and it's not very good.
guys, what is it? Before we go, what is it about that? Like Mr. Allen's songs, they just get stuck in my head. I can't like Flying Your Legions. It's just it won't leave my mind. Like it's just...
Well, I think because they played it like 85 times during that one episode.
That's true.
Yeah, man. I want him and Emil Whitman to collaborate. You know, I think that would
be wonderful.
His alter ego. I think they need to make that happen.
Well, there you go.
But thank you, guys. It is 20-5 at the moment.
All right.
Yeah, and get some sleep.
We'll wrap it up, man. You have a good one. Right. We appreciate it.
You too, fellas. Thanks for having me.
See you, Elijah.
Take it easy, man. Peace.
Make sure you check out Elijah on Captain
Beard.
Baker. Oh man, I'm not getting it right. It's tagged on my Instagram and in the Cabal. Well, his name in the Cabal, but you can find him Captain Firebeard Baker on Instagram. Captain CAPN Firebeard Baker. It was on his screen there. Go back and look at it again. But this was a great night. Thank you everybody for hanging out in the chat. It sounds like the Eagles lost, maybe.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Yep.
So I'm praying for all you people in Philly. That's half joke and partially very serious, because you know what happened when they won a couple of years ago in that city.
Yeah.
We'll bring this up real quick. Next weekend, we're rounding out the my wife is going to kill me, guys, with the one and only Jeremy DeWitt joining us here on the Shelf, talking all Pac-Man all night long. No, I don't know what we'll talk about.
The only one we'll have left after that is Travis. But yeah, I'm sure we'll get some TMNT. We'll get some Pac-Man, some Mario.
Absolutely.
Maybe talk some music. But I love Jeremy. He's a giant teddy bear, so that'll be a good one.
Absolutely. So yes, we'll be back next Sunday night with Jeremy DeWitt. We got Elijah jumping in here. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Sorry if we missed you comments or shouting you out in the comments. We apologize, but no, we do see you. We appreciate all you being here. It's always fun hanging out with everybody. Curtis, anything else you want
to? Just be nice to each other. Have a nice week.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Curtis, have a great night. And as always, oh wait, we got to get this thing ready to roll the button. There we go. What's on your shelf?